The road to $10,000 in Homestead Miami Speedway begins right here tonight at Racing Daytona International Speedway in the first event of the 17 race NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series presented by iRacing.com. Good evening. Welcome to another fun-filled and exciting, very promising season here on PSRTV. Of course, our broadcast partners, Nesson, MRN Radio, and iRacing Brazil, also joining us here tonight. My name is Tony Stevens, joined alongside Joe Cortez. Tim Terry will be back in a couple of weeks. He's on a trip back to the Great White North of Canada from Daytona International Speedway. And Joe, new season, the slate is clean. Everybody has the scorecard even now. It says 0, but at the end of tonight's broadcast and tonight's race, that scorecard is going to change.
New season, new sponsor with Peak Antifreeze coming on to sponsor the Peak Antifreeze series powered by iRacing.com. And so this is going to make one of the more exciting seasons of all time, Tony. Absolutely clean slate. Everyone starts with a brand new opportunity, a brand new fresh start for that $10,000 prize at the end of the tunnel. You have two returning champions, both hungry to get back in victory lane. And then you have a lot of guys that have either been around this sim since the dawn of time or been around sim racing since the dawn of time. And you have a bunch of newcomers that worked their way up through the Pro Series. Tony, get ready for what's going to be the best season yet.
I think you're right, Joe. It's going to be a very exciting season. The fifth season of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Certainly something we're looking forward to. It doesn't seem like it's been 5 years, but it certainly has. 3 different champions crowned. Thousands of dollars of cash and prizes have been given away and presented to champions and top finishers in the series throughout those previous 4 years. And, of course, as you mentioned, we're welcoming on board the Peak Antifreeze organization, all their fine products and the things they can help do for these iRacers. And, of course, there's a lot of things iRacing can help do for them. So I think it's going to be a very cool partnership. We'll talk about that a little bit more later as we go on through the broadcast. One of the guys that's taking advantage of the iRacing.com series here, sanctioned by NASCAR, now the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, is Tyler Hudson, last season's champion. He got the whole gamut. He got the champion's treatment. It all started with the trip to NASCAR's finale at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and well, after that, it was a whirlwind media tour for Tyler. Take a look at some of the things he got to experience after his championship last season.
Hi, my name is Tyler Hudson. I'm from Brandon, Mississippi. I've been sim racing since 1997. I started out on the 10 network with Iris on NASCAR Racing 2, and I got into it at an early age. I was pretty young. Video games were cool, and really I've been hardcore ever since. I started out on iRacing in 2008 when they first went public. I progressively went up the ranks from the Legends cars. You know, they have the whole system. Went up through the ranks, ran the Pro Series, got a few wins there, and progressed into the NASCAR Drivers World Championship Series. I've been in it for 4 years. I've been close to some wins. I had a win this year finally. And this championship battle was tough. It was a barn burner to the end. Ray put up a really good fight. First time I've been top 5 in points, and we won the championship in the same year. As a 2013 champion, iRacing flew me and my wife down here. We've had a great time here at Homestead. We've been able to meet some drivers like Denny Hamlin. He sim races a little bit. He was really nice. We got to meet my favorite driver, Jamie McMurray. iRacing set all that up. Hang out in the suites, the NASCAR suites at that, with Mike Helton was in the room. It was pretty awesome. You couldn't beat the view. I mean, you're looking straight ahead and you can pretty much see the whole track. We got to do a pace car ride at like 130 mile an hour in a Mustang Cobra. That was pretty awesome. You really get to feel the G-forces doing that. And walked up on stage, got our trophy, got a check in front of the whole Homestead crowd. And being the champion for the series is a big deal. It's pretty awesome. My team is One Up Motorsports. We put together the team last year. It's with a bunch of guys I've been on and off teams with for all of my iRacing career, and they help out a lot with the setup. So I'm really I mean, seriously, like a driver. I don't know much about the setup side of it. It takes some help, and those guys have helped me out a lot. They do telemetry. They'll put in the time to test, and they're all great people. We have a lot of fun together, and that's the main thing. I think that's what leads to the good things that have happened, is having fun with it. Yeah, so I couldn't do it without them. I wish they could all be here with me. And my sponsors, AdaSignWraps.com, he's been with me for 3 years actually. And it's been a great relationship. He's a good friend, John Ada. And we had some more come on board this season, UpstateRacingShow.com. And yeah, I'd really like to thank those guys for what they do for me. It's been a lot of fun this year. My favorite cars on iRacing is, I really enjoy running the late model and the trucks. Anybody that knows me on the service sees me in the truck a lot. And one of the most important things about the whole simulator is just have fun with it, you know. That's what it's for, it's to have fun. And that's, if you're not having fun, what's the point? Well, I started out racing in go-karts when I was 15 or so. Ran about a year in that off and on because I didn't really have a lot of money. I financed a street stock dirt car and paid $100 a week out of my paycheck until I paid it off. And we raced it about 3 or 4 times and ran out of money. So we had the idea to raise some money to try and do a real effort and go asphalt racing in a super truck at Hickory Motor Speedway. An opportunity came up where we knew the team, and we raised some donations through iRacing community, through friends and family at church. iRacing came on board and sponsored a simulator, and the first time on the track we were within a couple tenths of the guys that run there weekly, and the team told me, they were like, dude, I don't know where this came from, but you've got some skills, you got good car control and everything. And first thing I said was, you know, it comes from the game, the iRacing game. It really helped me with my ability to control the car, to get around the corners like I needed to enter right, to get the apex right. Everything translates over, and it was a huge help because I'd never been on asphalt before other than the simulator. So it transferred nicely, and the guys were really impressed. We finished out the year and got Rookie of the Year, a few top 3 finishes. It was a huge success and had a lot of fun with it, learned a lot, and all it makes me want to do is get back in the car. This year we're going to try to go back dirt late model racing, and if we don't run out of money, but you know, if anybody out there wants to help us out and sponsor us, hey, this is your opportunity. I won the World Championship and we're going to go racing next year. So hey, get right on board. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited and I can't wait to get out there. I would just like to thank the Lord for this opportunity to be here, and my wife, she's been a huge supporter in all of this. I mean, I don't even have words for it. It's just been really good, and I thank her for that. I thank my parents back home. I thank iRacing, of course, my teammates, everybody that's made this possible for me. It's been a dream come true. It's you know, I love this. I love representing iRacing. I love being the champion. I've dreamed of this chance, and to finally have it is just, it's amazing. I can't really describe it. It's pretty awesome. And I look forward to 2014. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a long season, but it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to get out there, and mainly get out there and defend the championship and kick some butt.
And that pretty much sums up Tyler Hudson and everything he had to go, well, I say had to go through, willfully and very happily went through in his offseason, Joe. Very quick offseason for him, but because of partners like NASCAR, this season new partner Peak Antifreeze, there's going to be a lot more that I have a feeling coming for this year's champion. You never know, it could be Tyler repeating again this season.
You know, Tony, and watching that video, watching all the excitement, everything you got to go through, you know it's got to make all these drivers that much more hungry. They've got a taste of it. They've got a feel for what it means to be champion, living vicariously through Tyler Hudson. Now they want to experience it for themselves, and it all begins tonight.
Certainly does. And speaking of things happening, we're glad to welcome to the booth with us here Nick Wren, the Director of Licensing and Account Management for NASCAR. And Nick, I know you guys look forward to this, and you're so proud of this association with iRacing, but what has iRacing done for you guys, and of course this new partnership with Peak? Tell us all about it, because obviously it's got to be a win-win for everyone involved, or it wouldn't have happened.
No, it absolutely is. The series has grown so nicely over the past few years, and what we've seen by way of the champions rather, that have been coming through. The quality and the level of competition we've seen grow and get better and stronger. And really, I think that's what drew Peak to the sport. Brian Emmerich, who's the CMO over there, he's a really visionary guy, really savvy motorsports marketer. If you've seen a Peak commercial during any sporting event, this guy's been behind it. And he's seen the quality of the competition in this space. He's kind of seen this space we're pioneering in NASCAR and our partnership with iRacing. The level of product, the level of quality, the competition was something they wanted to be associated with. And we're happy to have those guys on board to continue to grow the service, grow the level of competition, and ultimately give these racers opportunities to hopefully transfer into, take their talents into the real world.
And Nick, that leads right into the next question I was getting ready to ask you. There's always the discussions you see, whether it be on TV, radio, internet, amongst friends, what have you. How does NASCAR reach the next generation? The previous generation, they were all car people, and this generation has become a digital generation. Phones, computers, video games. Do you see the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series presented by iRacing to be that first step now that, say, the Wheel and All-American series used to be, and maybe taking a place at the bottom of that ladder to serve as an intro into the All-American series and so on?
Isn't it just awesome to think about that, to even be asking ourselves that question? I think that's really something that can be said, or really speaks highly to the product that iRacing can bring to fans, to new fans particularly, and obviously and clearly the digital generation has kind of taken over. And, who knows, one day we may be looking at a digital champion who's turned into a real-world champion, and we can't do that without a product like iRacing. They've built tools into their software that allow users to share what they're doing. The broadcasts that you guys are involved in executing on a weekly and biweekly basis, it's next to none. I mean, it's perfect. It's flawless. It's something that people want to be a part of. And that's how you reach the next generation. You show them how compelling the product is, how cool the service is, and to show them that, you have to have real skill, real tools, and real talent to be able to compete rather at the highest levels. And this is the place that you're going to do that. And Peak's going to help us attract even more people.
And we certainly are looking forward to that, Nick. Well, we're about ready to get the cars gridded here on the front straightaway and on the pit lane. So sit back with us, enjoy the first round of the newly named and newly branded NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. That's Nick Wren from NASCAR Joe, and we've got all kinds of crazy things happening this season. Of course, we just talked to Nick about the new association we have with Peak Antifreeze and, of course, NASCAR. But all these prizes and all these awards that these drivers can earn throughout the season, it's a pretty stout prize pack.
The prizes are second to none. We've talked about the $10,000 prize that comes with him, and we talked about that $10,000 that the winner gets and the experience that the driver gets, the winning driver gets as a result of his efforts here. But there's a whole lot of that involved. There's the banquet that gets involved with that the champion gets. There's the all kinds of crazy stuff. Tony, the top 10, I'll walk away with something, but it's nothing compared to what the champion walks away with.
You're absolutely right, Joe. We'll touch on it a little bit later, but you know what? There's all kinds of things. You get to be part of the NASCAR banquet. You get a trip to Homestead. There's cash involved, rings, you name it. We'll touch on it all throughout the broadcast. Real quick, let's take a break and get a moment in and a word from a couple of our sponsors.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
So you got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
First thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to keep the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, the world's center of racing, for this, the very first event of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, here live on PSRTV. Once again, a welcome to you if you're watching on any of our broadcast partners, including MRN, Nesson, and iRacing Brazil. And of course, if you're watching on the iRacing Live tab, make sure, if you're not already, take advantage of any of those promotional offers you might see on iRacing. I know MRN has a promotional offer on their page as well. Take full advantage of it. Cars are rolling off the grid. Let's walk you through tonight's grid. 43 cars strong for this, the opening 250-mile event of the series. On the pole, Brad Davies, Thomas Lewandowski will start alongside. Last season's wins leader Nick Ottinger starts third. Mitchell Hunt, a pleasant surprise in qualifying, and Chris Overland starts fifth. Joe?
Corey Bias in the 27 machine starts position number 6. A two-time champion, Ray Alfala, in the 2 machine, position number 7. Danny Hansen in the 32 on the outside of row number 4. Position number 9 is the 8 of Callum Kitteland. And then Brian Day in the 4 machine rounds out your top 10.
Michael J. Johnson, the 39, 11th. Alex Scribner rolls the 50 from 12th. It is Josh Berry, the junior motorsports driver, in 13th. Brian Schoenberg and Ashley Miller in 15th.
Alex Moore in the 82 is 16th. New face to the Peak Antifreeze Series. Kenny Humpy in the 58 machine, 17th. Brandon Hawk, 18th. Robert Hall, 19th. And last season's champion, Tyler Hudson, the 01 machine, starts on the outside of row number 10.
3 wide, Byron Daly starts 21st. Trey Eidson, Brandon Cattell, Justin Bolton, and Michael Connie make up the next 5, Joe.
Ryan Blackford in the 33, 26. Brandon Bowie, 27. Richard Doucette, 28th. Carson McClellan, the shootout winner, 29th. And Brandon Schmidt, 30th.
Josh Lawton and Chad Lawton start 31 and 32. Kevin King, PJ Sturgis, and Brad Mayhar starts 35th.
Justin Trombley, Jake Sturgis, Peter Bennett, Kwame Agel, and Matt Busa, the top 40.
Rob Ackley, Brandon Hoff, and Landon Harrison are going to round out the field here tonight. Joe, the field's rolling through the 31-degree banks at turns 3 and 4 very quickly. What kind of weather conditions are we looking at here this evening?
78 degrees, partly cloudy overhead with a breeze of the north coming at 2 miles per hour. Relatively low humidity tonight as the pace car makes a hard left turn down pit road. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies, and the 11 machine has a whole lot of hungry drivers behind him. The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com, has officially begun.
And to nobody's surprise, very quickly, we see somebody like Nick Ottinger sucking right up on the back bumper of the car in front of him, your pole sitter, Brad Davies. And really, it shouldn't be a surprise, Joe, that Brad Davies is at the front of this field. He's certainly a very successful racer in his own right, and has been for many years. But the past couple of seasons, he's been, well, he just hasn't quite been up to par for maybe what I think he thought he should be.
Yeah, Brad Davies has had a lot of bad luck in the Peak Series in the past couple of years, but now Brad Davies has officially led lap number 1. Once he gets to the start-finish line, he will have logged the first lap of the 2014 campaign, and that can only bode very well for him. He's keeping those other drivers at bay. You see Thomas Lewandowski on the outside in his Ford Fusion, trying to catch up to the 11 machine. No dice yet. Nick Ottinger on his tail. Lots of great drivers, lots of great talent behind him. As you ride in the roof cam now of the 47 of Chris Overland, seeing those top two drivers stay in line right in front of him. Don't look behind him. There's your 2-time champion now breaking into the top 10.
Imagine that. Ray Alfala, brand new team, Slip Angle Motorsports this season, and he is newly energized. New colors, too, on that blue number 2 machine. Very different. We're so used to seeing him in that white and black and green number 2. This one, a completely different look on the racetrack. It'll probably take us a couple races to get used to that. Something we might see already, Joe, is that in previous years on restrictor plate racetracks, or at least last season, we're used to seeing the tandem draft really take effect. We're used to seeing guys be able to push each other through the field, around each other, and suck each other apart using the virtual model of the draft that iRacing's created. But as iRacing has always done, Joe, they have pretty much mimicked the same exact aerodynamic property you see on the actual Gen 6 car, at least to the best of their abilities. And already what we see is a race very similar to what we saw a couple of nights ago at Daytona. The cars are still in a pack. They're able to get close together in draft, but you don't see that tandem draft that it has got so many fans just absolutely split. The polarity of that is amazing.
You know, the beautiful thing about the iRacing sim is that it's always evolving, it's always changing, and it's always changing itself, updating itself to be the most realistic situation you can be in without actually climbing in to one of these 800 horsepower machines and going over 200 miles per hour down the super stretch itself. New leader up front, it's a 19 of Mitchell Hunt, who took the lead away from Thomas Lewandowski, who took the lead away from Brad Davies. Now outside lane starting to show its strength out there. The 27 machine, that's Cody Bias, with the help of the 32 of Danny Hansen. They're trying to make their way up front, but the 19 right now is the one to beat. Mitchell Hunt, but continuing to find a way to fight him off with the help of the 16 of Tom Lewandowski and the 11 of Brad Davies.
And again, new names, new colors. We've seen a lot of drivers come up and graduate, if you will, from the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series, which is pretty much the essential equivalent of the Nationwide Series, if you will, before you work your way to the Peak Antifreeze Series now. And, you know, I think that is, because of the way it's set up, as we talked earlier, Joe, a really good indicator of talent. You're driving essentially the same race car, and now you just have to change the competition. You have to raise your level of competition a little bit, but some of these guys have been at this for years, like many other drivers in this field have been, like a Cody Bias or Mitchell Hunt. They're new to Peak Antifreeze Series fans, possibly, but the people that have been around this field for a long time, that's the guy that just beat him last week.
Isn't that funny how that works? And that's kind of the beautiful thing about iRacing. You know, you can run every mod, every sim, week in, week out, with no risk of injury, no risk of losing anything, no risk of losing time. Yeah, you should lose a couple hours, but it isn't the worst use of your time. The 47 machine now debating going to rewind. This is Chris Overland. He almost goes in the middle between the 11 and the 32 of Brad Davies and Danny Hansen. Thinks better of it, and they're going to continue to run line by line. Up front, Mitchell Hunt continues to lead, even though Cody Bias stole a lap from him last time by. Let's run on the roof now of that 32 machine. That's Danny Hansen getting a look of everything. If those colors look familiar, they should. Pro Geek Consulting now on the hood of that 32 machine of Hansen, and right now Pro Geek getting a big view of everything going on up front. Only 4 cars between him and the lead here at Daytona.
Like we said, we're so used to seeing those colors almost the exact same paint scheme on the number 2 machine of Ray Alfala, and ironically, now here comes Ray Alfala right up the bottom, a couple of cars behind Danny Hansen in that number 32 Pro Geek Consulting machine. Look behind him as well, Joe. We haven't talked about it. He started deep in the field, but last year's champion, Tyler Hudson. Remember, last season he won the shootout preceding this 250-miler, and everybody said, wow, this could be a breakout season for Tyler Hudson, and it was. Got his first win, got the championship, battled Ray Alfala down to the last race and ended up taking the title. But now you come into this season with a lot more expectations and maybe a little bit more pressure, but he's excited for it. But I almost have to say as well, we saw Tyler last season, as you're right on board with him. There's a few other drivers I think this year could be looking at a breakout year. A Nick Ottinger, a Byron Daly even. Maybe even some of these pro guys like a Mitchell Hunt or a Cody Bias might come in and turn the sim racing world on its ear.
With the beginning of every season, that is a new opportunity for all of these drivers to really make a name for themselves and really show what they have and what they are capable of. There's no better proving ground in sim racing than the Peak Series, and you're seeing that happen here tonight. 9 laps scoring 9 laps now. 9 laps clean so far, and now 3 wide around your champions. The 2, the 0-1, the 80, all running 3 wide through turns 1 and 2. The 58 machine getting close, almost cutting off the 55 machine of Schoenberg. Kenny Humpy making a name for himself real quick out here. And then there's that 80 machine, Brandon Cattell, out of nowhere, is finding his way up front, and he is climbing the ladder quickly and in a hurry.
You know, if you'd have told me you put a car outside like Brandon Cattell is right now, that 80 machine by himself, he would drop like an anchor is what I would have figured, but no. Look at this. He's starting to draw some people on the outside with him. Chris Overland, in the 47, shot up in front of him. He wants a push from Brandon Cattell, and look behind him about 2 or 3 spots. That's the 24 of Carson McClellan. He was the shootout winner just a couple of weeks ago. He too now going to try the very top side of the racetrack, as is the number 1 of Rich Doucette. It looks like that maybe the trendsetter is Brandon Cattell. The problem is now, Joe, that margin for error up front just got very small, and I think it already, look, a lot of these leaders now backing off. Look at Danny Hansen. He just just say, get me out of here, as things are starting to get heated up real quick up front.
That's a very dangerous situation to be in so early in the race. We're only scoring lap number 10, and already these guys trying it 3 wide. The good news is we've seen that they can make that work. That 3 wide can go here at Daytona in this Gen 6 car, and they're going to try it again. The 80, the 27, tired of looking at the bumper of that 19 machine, so they're going to try to get by him one more time. The 19 using the side draft to his advantage, and he is holding on, but for how long can he do so? The 19, here comes the cavalry behind him. The 8 machine of Adam Gilliland, a regular in this, a perennial favorite in the series, he's now going to make the move. The 24 of Carson McClellan, your shootout winner, he's now in the mix once again, running right beside the 2 of Ray Alfala. Kenny Humpy, your Pro Series champion, he's now in the mix. He's around position number 12 right now. So you talked a minute ago about the Pro Series drivers, Tony. You're seeing Kenny Humpy now make his way through and try to make a name for himself early in this running of Daytona.
Yeah, Joe, really it shouldn't come as any surprise. Kenny Humpy, again, a very, very seasoned simulated racer. Various titles, whether it be iRacing, whether it be the old NASCAR racing series from Papyrus, even if it's the old ARCA Sim racing sim that had a very brief life. He's very strong in that as well, so it should be no surprise that Kenny Humpy has taken now coming through all those different types of race cars and all these different series as a strong horse. And he's going to be good, and here he is, knocking on the door of the top 10, a Pro Series champion. And Kenny Humpy, I think, might be the equivalent, but he certainly is promising, just like Kyle Larson is promising in the Cup Series.
Meanwhile, back up front, new leader Chris Overland in the 47 machine, that almost neon yellow double clutch machine. He is finding a way to get up front and has made his way up to lead some laps here at Daytona. Lap number 13, and already business picking up on track. Overland leading a lap. The number 27 machine of Corey Bias, though, he is trying to make himself a name, and he is already looking for that pass up high. 2 by 2 they go, 8 deep. The last 2 cars on this group, the 05 of Nick Ottinger and the 1 of Richard Doucette.
I think Nick Ottinger, Joe, might have something to prove here this season. Remember last year, if memory serves me, kind of got knocked out early in Daytona, didn't have the greatest of luck, and really there were a few drivers that fell into that boat. Ray Alfala was one of them. He got caught up in the big one early, had to soldier on just to kind of make points and make laps, but I think that Nick has something to prove. After last season, he won, 5, 6 races, and he still finished 3rd in the championship. As here we go up front again. Look at Mitchell Hunt up top, trying to do the same thing that Cody Bias did and that Brandon Cattell did, but it's not going to work for him. Mitchell Hunt going to fall back to the to the 3rd spot on the outside line. That's about 6th spot or so, depending on where and when you're scoring at home. But if you just learned something, Joe, just as Brandon Cattell and others did a few laps ago, there's something up top if you've got the right momentum, if you've got the right situation. But it's not always going to work for you. Here he goes, the bottom. Cattell does. He looked under Bias. Nothing there, but I think Brandon Cattell has a very, very strong race car, and maybe a little more so than he's already shown.
I think one of the keys here at Daytona is not showing your hand early in the race. You don't necessarily want to show everything your car can do. You want to be able just to play it slow, see what everyone else does, and react when the time is right. Chris Overland doing the exact opposite right now as he almost cuts off the 27 machine of Corey Bias. Bias has nothing he can do but hold on, able to save it, no contact there, but Corey Bias now on the back bumper of Chris Overland. Another lead change up front, and a couple other guys now looking to get back in the mix. Brandon Cattell in the 80 machine back in the mix. Adam Gilliland, a guy we haven't talked a whole lot about. He was very quiet last season, kind of ran mid-pack all the way through the season, made his voice heard a couple times, but I think tonight, running in the top 5, he knows that he's got a lot this season, and he wants to make his voice heard sooner rather than later.
Well, Joe, you got to remember, you can say he didn't really do a whole lot last season, and you're right, with the exception of winning Daytona. Adam came out of the box strong because he is here tonight, led a large portion of this race last season, and ended up in victory lane, but like you said, then came the spiral down. He really wasn't heard from again. He had a couple of top 10 runs, and had a couple of times he was a decent car, but nothing to write home about. Well, this season, he's got his old number back. He's back in the 8 as opposed to the 81. We talked to him in the preseason Thunder and in the shootout as well, and he was very, very hyped up. He said, we've got the best team we've had in a long time. Got a new sponsor in the car in Gary Murphy Trucking, and he is driven. I think he's focused in this season, and he wants to make a statement that Adam Gilliland is not the Adam Gilliland of old. He's got a calmer head on his shoulders, and he's going to be good on the racetrack, not only just fast, but making decisions and being a smarter racer. And so far, I think it's only been, 17 laps, but I think we've seen that so far between tonight, the shootout a couple of weeks ago. Adam Gilliland might be somebody to look out as maybe a dark horse later this year.
You know, and you can't help but wonder, seeing all the fanfare that Tyler Hudson got this year, the ring, the trophy, the trip to Homestead, Miami, the banquet at the Hall of Fame. You have to wonder if he doesn't look back on the 2013 campaign, winning Daytona, and looking back at that and saying, yeah, that could have been me. I could have had that, but I didn't. You've got to wonder if during the offseason, that didn't stew with him a little bit and only do nothing but to inspire him to run as well as he's running tonight.
Looking behind him now, look at Mitchell Hunt. He peeked out a line behind Adam Gilliland, thought about going to the outside, and here he goes again. Mitchell Hunt's looking racing to drive right at Mooresville, North Carolina. Thought about the outside once again. I think Mitchell now might be just a little bit impatient, Joe. Carson McClellan's right there on his back bumper. Remember, McClellan won the shootout a couple of weeks ago, came to the Pro Series, and really look at that outside lane. 3-4 guys that all came through the Pro Series have hooked up, and they're trying to go to the front.
And that's kind of the fun thing about going through that Pro Series together, going through the Pro Series with a group of guys. You get to know people, you get to make friends with people, you start making deals, and all of a sudden, when you're all in the big show together, you've got that opportunity to run together, to hook up together and say, hey, let's get our names out there. Let's be a part of this race together. And once you're comfortable with their driving style, well, you know how they're going to react at certain tracks. You get to make better connections, and next thing you know, you're up in front challenging for the lead here at Daytona. New leader up front, Adam Gilliland, fighting off the 19 and 47 for position.
Mitchell Hunt found his way to the front, and there you've got that Menard sponsor machine. Chris Overland pushing Adam Gilliland to the front. Man, what a race this is already shaping up to be. A number of lead changes, guys all over the racetrack, swapping lanes. And joining us in the booth here, Tony Gardner, the guy that helps run it all at iRacing.com. Tony, this has got to be a special moment for you every single year to come out, sit down and relax, and watch the product that you pretty much oversee and what it has become and how each season it gets better and better. That's got to be cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome, Tony. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is our 5th year, so it gets better and better every year. So we're really excited. The racing definitely gets better. iRacing gets better, and you guys as broadcasters on PSRTV do better and better every year. So it's great to have NASCAR. They're such great partners, and now we have Peak Antifreeze sponsoring it, and they're awesome to work with. So we're really excited.
Well, we thank you for the kind words, and we're just excited, I think, as you are about these new partnerships. Like Nick from NASCAR said, it opens the door to so many more things, and it really sets a trend. I have to ask you, though, this is not the only series that Peak is sponsoring on iRacing. They're actually involved in another series that presents a really, really cool opportunity for racers on the service, all 30-some thousand of them. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I probably don't have time to go into all the details, but we're sponsoring they're sponsoring a series that anyone can join. You don't have to be a pro, but there's really cool prizes involved, and the winner of that series gets a chance at a real ride. So it's pretty cool. You can read all about it on iRacing, but we don't have time. But it's fun for anybody to do, and there's also some prizes for the people that win it.
Certainly the best way to find out, though, log on to iRacing.com. If you don't have a membership, promotions going on now. You can get 3 months for the price of one. Check it out. I know MRN.com has a link from their page. Of course, there's a promo code, I believe, on the iRacing site as well. So certainly, if you're not a member, join in and read about it. If you are a member, check out the iRacing and all the news section. You can read all the details. But, Tony, thanks for joining us. We love what you're doing. And like you said, it gets better every single season. We look forward to seeing what this season can unfold into as the year goes along.
Okay, Tony, keep up the great work, and thanks to you and all the guys at PSRTV.
That's Tony Gardner, head honcho, head pizza eater, president, whatever you want to call him, at iRacing.com, Joe. And You know, he does so much that people don't see for this sim that they always catch flack about it from some members, and that's the way with any organization. When something doesn't go right, yeah, the guys in the management catch flack for it, but if they knew everything that Tony and the guys up in Massachusetts do for this sim to try to make it better and all the hard work and the late nights they put in, they wouldn't say a word. That guy is dedicated to making iRacing by far the best simulated experience on the planet.
Well, you know, it's like you said there. We talked about at the beginning of the race, Tony. iRacing is continually evolving. iRacing is continually changing, and it is continually being as close to being in a race car as you can get without going out, taking out a bank loan, buying a race car, getting a license, and trying your luck at speed weeks. This is becoming more and more less of a game, less of just something for folly, and more of a tool for the experienced racer.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Joe. It's become a tool. We've seen a lot of drivers use this, as we talked with Nick earlier, as a stepping stone, either to dirt cars or to a NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series ride, whatever the case is. We've seen it happen. It teaches them racecraft. It does teach them some basics about vehicle dynamics and setup options that it takes some drivers years to learn at a local short track. It also teaches them a lot of things like how to act when you have an in-car camera, like Byron Daly right now. That Byron's racing from, where's he at? UNC Charlotte right now. And this is the other cool part about it. It gives these drivers this big-time feel without having to spend that big-time money like you talked about. Michael Johnson, the 39 machine. We've also got an onboard or in-house or on-rig, whatever camera you want to call it, with him as well. And that's one thing that makes this so cool is all the stuff you get to experience, like you said, Joe, without having to spend all that money. But when you get that feel and you understand what it's like to be that competitive, it makes you want to go out and buy a real race car, because when you add the actual effect of speed on top of it, there is nothing in the world that can top that, except maybe actually winning when you're in that car.
But until then, you watch a Michael Johnson and Byron Daly drive from the comfort of their home in the iRacing sim. And the cool thing about this, guys, these guys didn't get born, were born with a silver spoon in their mouths. These guys didn't come up through pedigrees and generations of NASCAR drivers, or not necessarily even born in the Carolinas, the home of NASCAR. These are guys who have passion, who have dedication to their craft, and work their way up to the highest point where they're now racing in a NASCAR-sanctioned event, in a NASCAR-sanctioned series where there's a real championship and real money and a real title on the line. That speaks volumes, not only to the character and the ability of these drivers, but to the ability of this simulation to deliver that realistic experience for each of these drivers out there.
You're exactly right, Joe. We'll talk a little bit more about that championship and all the awards, as we mentioned at the top of the show. We talked briefly with Nick Grimm from NASCAR. A lot of good things coming this season. You know, and really, you look at this racing, Adam Gilliland's kind of got things tamed in most of the field, pretty single file. I think they're all just kind of waiting for those first couple of pit stops and get towards the end of the race before they start making their moves, which is great. We get a chance to sit here and chat while we see guys for, well, very professionally for that matter, worry about saving their equipment and getting to the end of the race. So while they do that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, presented by iRacing.com's season opener, live from the Daytona International Speedway. Don't go away. Adam Gilliland is your lead.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Welcome back to Daytona, and if things look different up front, it's because, well, they are. Cody Bias up front on the scoreboard, and the Purelator machine, Carson McClellan, led a lap or two while we were away. Now they're 3 wide in turn number 1. McClellan all the way to the top side. No help up top and no momentum to his advantage. Carson McClellan, Joe, is going to go from the hero to about 10th or 12th in this group. The good news for Carson McClellan, most of his field, as we said, fairly strung out into a single file line further back. Nobody in a big hurry to get themselves torn up or do anything crazy. So McClellan, not going to lose a lot of space, but from what we've seen so far, it might be a little harder to make those spots up than it has been in previous years.
Tony, we were talking about a little bit about this during the break. The cool thing about the sim and the constant updates they do to these cars is it really mimics what you see on track and how these guys drive on track. So this car really reflective of what you saw 3 nights ago in the running of the Daytona 500, the 56th annual running of the Daytona 500. These guys are running almost the exact same lines, the exact same physics, and you're seeing their driving styles and their driving techniques mirror those what we saw on TV. And more importantly, this new car, this new sim, everything that's been rebuilt, it really shows the importance of being able to draft and work in the draft and have someone who's willing to give you that push to keep you going forward. In the case of Carson McClellan, he lost that push going high, and without that push, both lines, like a freight train, just blew right by him, and he was gone, baby, gone.
But he was able to get back in line on the bottom with a good group of cars that had some momentum, and now he's able to start trucking his way back forward. And the other thing we noticed, Joe, in the break was that Carson McClellan and a couple other drivers were able to use the middle of the racetrack, the middle of the space, I should say, before, back up. The middle, what we used to call the sucker hole, I guess you would. Let me back up and start over. But McClellan and others were able
to
use that space between the two lanes to their advantage. They couldn't stay in it for very long, but they could shoot out, pass the car, and tuck back in one of those lanes and use that extra space possibly to make a pass. And maybe coming down at the end of it, that could be where we see the winning move made is through the middle between the two lanes of cars.
It wouldn't surprise me if that happens. It wouldn't surprise me if we see that at all. All it takes is one driver with a lot of momentum making that bold move, and if he can get a push, if he can get a tailwind on him, then that might be the move to win the race. But everyone right now taking it very calm, very relaxed out there. Everybody just running their laps as if they plan to do it this way. A little bit of conservation racing. 35 laps being scored on the board right now, almost over a quarter of the way done, Tony. No yellow flags, not even a hint of trouble on the track. Now, as soon as I said that, though, it's going to jinx it entirely, but let's enjoy this moment of peace, this tranquility, and this quality racing while we have it.
Wow. Look, did you hear that, Joe? That was the sound of peace. Neither of us opened our mouths for a minute.
That is exactly what I'm talking about. That is the tranquility you're seeing on the track. It's almost zen-like, Tony. It's almost like zen-like watching these drivers out there. A driver who's wants to get a little less zen-like, though, is Michael Connie. You see him running here in the box on your screen. He's not having the race he wants to run right now. That five machine, he's running towards the back right now, position number 42. But this could all be strategy. We know pit stops are coming up here, so this might just be a way to avoid the chaos that comes with those green flag pit stops, which I've got a feeling we're going to see here pretty soon.
Yeah, they'll be coming here within about the next 15 to 20 laps, I believe, Joe. So we should be seeing cars on pit road. Of course, the yellow flag would change all that and alter that pit strategy. But yes, Michael Conti hanging around in the back of the field. And remember, he missed this race last year. But I think we all expected Michael Conti to maybe be a little bit closer towards the front. Obviously, I don't think, didn't have the greatest of qualifying runs. When you look at the sheet, he started 25th, but and he has dropped like a rock halfway through this field, and he's all the way at the tail. But look who's in front of him, Danny Hansen, who we know has a fast race car because Hansen qualified up there closer to the front of the field as well, and he was running at the front of the field. And now here he is back in 41st. So maybe a little strategy on the part of Hansen, Connie, and others. And in fact, now you look at Connie starting to push Hansen, maybe trying some things to see if they can drive their way forward. You don't want to lose the draft, Joe, and that's something I think that maybe Connie or one of his teammates or spotters has told him is, hey, these 10 or 12 guys you're hanging out with, they're starting to lose the main pack. You need to get rolling, or otherwise you're going to be in trouble.
47 now gets in trouble. 47 into the infield grass, and he's got a friend going down there with him. Big trouble for both those drivers into the wall. The 47 machine goes, and the 47 machine in serious trouble. No caution flag out. Chris Overland in the grass, and I believe there's another car in the grass, but I can't get it. I'm sorry, being told now it is Cody Bias that got in the grass as well. No caution flag out. They continue to race.
And Cody Bias was the leader, Joe. He was not back there in the middle of the pack. He was the point man going down the back straightaway. And it looked like a bump draft gone wrong. Overland got off the back bumper of Adam Gilliland and tried to cut over with him. The two made contact. Overland went through a ride through the bus stop chicane, miraculously kept it off anything and anyone. Same for Cody Bias. He did a miraculous job controlling that car on the apron, got on the binders, didn't spin it out. He's going to lose the draft, Joe, but he still has a race car right now, which means if the caution comes out, he can catch the field and try to drive through it one more time.
You're watching the replay in the box right now, and just look at Chris Overland, not panic, not overdriving, and not do make a rookie mistake here that could cost him his entire night. He just calmly kept off the gas, put the brakes on as best he could, and let it slide around him, and keep moving that car around. He was able to save it from the wall. The good news is he's got a full car that he can still run with. The bad news is, though, he's now at the tail end of the field. Nobody around him, and that is going to ultimately hurt his opportunities as this race goes on. Meanwhile, back up front, the 58, the 80 machine, they are doing battle with the 8 and the 1 right behind him. You ride on the 8 machine of Adam Gilliland. He was your leader last time by. This time, your leader, Brandon Gattell's got the push from the 8 of Adam Gilliland, and they are taking off. But don't count out Kenny Humpy, your Pro Series champion. He's now in position number 3 and looking to do a little bit better than that. You see him off the back of the 8. Another car you're about to see here in just a minute. Last season's champion, Tyler Hudson, in the top 10.
Yeah, Tyler's been very quietly just kind of hanging out inside the top 10 there, Joe. He swapped lanes a few times to give the top side a try. As here goes Doucette underneath of the 58 of Kenny Humpy. They're going to perform the swap. Apparently the 1 machine getting a little warm trying to push Kenny Humpy up through the field. But already now you see very quickly this field after that accident, a few guys jumped on the binders, a few guys had spotters tell them what happened, and we now essentially have 3 different packs running throughout the field, all single file. And we do, as we said, anticipate pit stops here in the next 10 or 15 laps. So probably everybody getting ready for that and just making sure that they don't end up in what could be a major accident. We almost had one there, but it was weird, Joe. It wasn't somebody really doing anything stupid. It was just a mistake. I mean, Adam Gilliland tried to change lanes. Chris Overland thought, I'm clear. And you have to make that call at literally 200 miles an hour. And it was a matter of inches. Overland misjudged. His spotter misjudged. Somebody did. As we've got pit stops, here comes McClellan down pit road. He's coming down 55 miles per hour. He and the number 30 machine. Coming down pit road of Robert Hall. We anticipate this to be no more than a 2-tire stop. Definitely a full tank of fuel. McClellan is in with 1 drafting partner on pit road with him. It appears it's going to be a fuel-only stop for Carson McClellan. No tires on that machine. So he'll continue on the same set of Goodyear Virtual Racing Eagles that he started the night on. Down and away for Carson McClellan. Same for Robert Hall. They'll rejoin the fray here in just a second.
And now a bunch of other drivers starting to throw out their hands. Josh Lawton's going to come in. Kevin King's going to come in this time around. And now here comes Richard Doucette. Kenny Humpy also comes down. The one of Richard Doucette cleanly breaks in. The 58 of Kenny Humpy does the exact same thing. And now we should see Josh Lawton and Kevin King and a bunch of other drivers not coming down. Chad Lawton, Josh Lawton both down. The 82 of Alex Warren, he's down on pit road. The 1 of Richard Doucette on pit road. The 29 of Kevin King all on pit road. The guys, the seal has been broken. And now we're going to start seeing guys come down like it was their job on lap 44, which means they're not going to be able, they may not be able to make it all the way around on one stop.
I was going to ask that question, Joe. do we think anybody can stretch it to lap 50 and actually make this a one-stop race?
You see your leaders now come down. Brandon Cattell's going to come down. He's going to be joined by Adam Gilliland, and they're both going to come down pit road this time on scoring lap number 45. The 19 machine of Mitchell Hunt joins them. Brian Schoenberg down there as well. Brandon Schmidt comes down. The 43 machine comes down. The 5 of Michael Conti. The 7 of Ashley Miller. The 32 of Danny Hansen. They're all coming down the attention of their crews. So the definitive answer, Tony, is unless we see some yellow flags, probably not.
So in other words, this one could come down to pit strategy, and a well-timed yellow flag can wipe that out, or a big gamble on the part of somebody could put them in prime position to maybe pull out a win here, Joe. Who says you don't short pit another 15 laps, top it off, and go to the end? And then you get that well-timed caution where everybody else has to pit. If you're able to stay on the lead lap, maybe, just maybe, you end up in front.
Now the champions come down. Tyler Hudson in the 0-1 machine. The 2 of Ray Alfalla, the 0-5 of Nick Ottinger. Alex Scrivener comes down. Byron Daly comes down. Michael Johnson, a whole bunch of other drivers. Brian Days come down. And a lot of leaders now coming through heavy traffic as you see the leaders try to navigate their way through guys coming through back on the racing surface. It's a hazardous situation, but your leaders able to navigate it. And now as pit stops come down to an end, we've got our answer, Tony. Someone's going to have to come down for service at the end of the race. It's just a matter of when. Leaders now on pit road.
Whoa! Thomas Lewandowski on the binders, and I don't think that one's going to pass the speed gun test, Joe. He had that thing all kinds of torn around sideways and tripped up, but miraculous piece of driving by Charles Lewandowski. Did a great job to hang on to. I thought for sure he was going to eat the concrete on the inside wall, but he and Brad Davies were the 2 leaders. They came down pit road now this time. Davies started on the pole. Lewandowski started up there right alongside of him on the front row. So the front, well, literally the front row, now on the pit lane. Davies and Lewandowski away from their stalls. Chris Overland will bypass him. Remember, he is on the tail end of what will be the lead lap. And here comes the rest of the field. Tyler Hudson and company behind them. And once this cycles out, it looks like Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfalla, who are now tandeming together by themselves, are going to be the top 2, assuming they pass. And yes, here they go, by Davies and Lewandowski. I guess what they say really is true, Joe. The cream does rise to the top. Your 2 most recent NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champions leading the field at Daytona.
In to out for both of your champions, 37 seconds. Down on pit road, into their box for service, back out. It just shows you the caliber of racing these guys are in. Both these drivers that you see at the top of the scoring pylon right now, this is the pinnacle of the class, and both of these drivers know that they've got a whole lot more than laurels to rest on. They've already won the championship. Now they both need to defend it in their own ways, and you see them just rising to the top in a class above everybody else here at Daytona. Alfalla, Hudson. This could foreshadow a great battle, a great battle we've seen playing out over and over again, and that we're going to see play out once again through this season.
I think you're right, Joe. I was just thinking the same thing. You have 2 rivals from last season that fought tooth and nail and hammer and tong every single week to try to win that championship. But here they are now. They're having to work together. They're having to partner up for each other's benefit. And it's so great because racing is the sport that pits you against your rival one week, and the very next week you park next to him at the local short track, and he needs a part and you got to help him out. Or in the case of this, he's the guy that you have to draft with off a pit road. It's such a unique and such a roller coaster sport for that very reason. But guess what? Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfalla, they're doing what they can do. The problem is the pack behind them has a lot more momentum, and they're slowly reeling them in.
The 2 in the 0-1 switching off as best they can throughout the turns there. You see the 0-2 of Ray Alfalla leading over the 0-1 of Tyler Hudson once again. Now the second pack starting to catch up in a big way, led by Brad Davies. Right behind him, Brandon Cattell in that mix as well. And when you have that much horsepower, Tony, pushing a line, pulling a line through, it is only a matter of time before they find a way to get up, and they start catching up to you and start challenging you for that lead. Chris Overland, the 47 machine involved in that first incident, he's now gets lapped by your leaders. He's your first close car 1 lap down.
So Overland, if the caution were to come out now, would be the free pass recipient. He is the only car, as you said, 1 lap down. Few cars behind him. Hey, look at this. The new intelligence for Byron 3-Wide Daly hanging out in the top 10. Another one of these drivers that has kind of become, it's become his MO, Joe, to just kind of hang around, not make a whole lot of noise until it gets down to money time. And for Byron Daly to be running this well, this early in the event, he might have something. Remember, he's got a new team with Slip Angle Motorsports. He, Brian Blackford, Ray Alfalla, the entire group there. That's a pretty potent organization, if I would say so myself. You have a former champion of the series as your spearhead. You got a guy that's an engineer. You have another guy that's won races. I mean, you've got an entire... They even have their own marketing, PR person and department. That group, I think, we're going to hear a lot of noise from them before the season's over with. And as we can see already, they've got stout race cars. Alfalla's up in the top 2, leading the race right now for that matters. He swaps it back and forth with Tyler Hudson. Byron Daly's in the top 10. Brian Blackford is starting to make his way forward. So the slip angle guys might be slipping up on the competition before they even realize what hit them.
You know, and they might have something here. It was kind of a fun, silly season in the virtual, in the iRacing world. A lot of guys switching teams, a lot of things switching around on the back end. They're maybe not getting as much coverage as the NASCAR silly season, but I think that is going to shake up how these guys race and how these guys run, and it is going to really separate some contenders from others. And it's really going to differentiate the winning contenders from the drivers that are mid-pack. And I think having that experience, having that silly season shakeup is going to help a lot of campaigns. You're already seeing it pay off for Ray Alfalla and Slip Angle. Alfalla in front of this field. And a lot of other drivers still in the mix right now, but Ray Alfalla taking the most advantage of that collective wisdom that Slip Angle has with the number 2 in front.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. He is taking full advantage of everything that's around him. I think he's also motivated. I know at the end of last season, Ray was starting to get a little frustrated. He had good race cars, but the luck wasn't there. Or he had bad race cars, and the luck was there, but he couldn't capitalize on it. I know the story from Homestead, that was pretty much what decided the championship. Ray and team were having some issues, and the setup wasn't there. The car was not what he needed it to be. And he said, I can't win this championship by out-racing Tyler Hudson the way that situation entered the way that duo entered that race, the situation they were in. So he said, I got to try something. He tried the fuel mileage route. It didn't work, but I think it left Ray Alfalla and that competitive fire inside him. It wasn't quenched. It needs something. And I think a new scene, I should say, a change of pace, a new group of people to work with was just a shot in the arm he needed, which is bad news for the rest of the competition. You take a 2-time champion and say, hey, here's something to get you refreshed and get your fire going again. That might be really bad news at the end of 17 races for everybody else.
Well, remember, though, we are only on race number 1, and this is only the beginning of what we're going to see for the rest of the season. This race can give you the big boost you need, but if you cannot capitalize the other 16 races, and when you consider the schedule, it's a completely different schedule. We've taken off a couple races. We've added Watkins Glen to the map. So this is going to be a new season, new challenges that these guys have not faced before in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com. It's going to make for a new absolute set of situations that these guys are going to have to navigate in a hurry if they want to stay up front. It's good to win the first race of the season. Don't get me wrong. That is a huge boost to the campaign. But it's about what you do with the other 16 that defines the champion.
You're right, Joe. And you talk about that schedule. We've added a road course for the first time in the history of the series in Watkins Glen. We've moved a few races around. For instance, we go to Fontana, California, and the Auto Club Speedway this season. We go to Richmond a little bit earlier in the year. And down towards the end of the season, the one I'm really looking forward to, Joe, we go back to Darlington. And Darlington isn't far up in the schedule where you can overcome it. The Lady in Black is 4 races from the end. Darlington could be one of those wild cards that plays havoc on the championship coming into the season finale. Because we run Chicago and Atlanta and all those 1.5 miles right there towards the end of the season. But Darlington might be the race that somebody sees their championship hopes just crushed and end up with the Lady from Kentucky team.
As you run now in car with Tyler Hudson following along that number 2 machine of Ray Alfalla. He is just right now content to run in line. We're barely over halfway through with this race, and everybody right now single file through this field, just content to run this race, run their own race as it is right now, and show a little patience so they can finish and have a good chance at challenging for the win here at Daytona. What was I thinking? A lot of cool additions to the schedule. Pocono up in the beginning of the season. Richmond going to be up in the middle of the season. And then you've got New Hampshire. You've got Watkins Glen. You've got Darlington. They've got a lot of great challenges ahead of them. And with the removal of Talladega, it really is going to be about driver skill this season.
Pit stops, Joe, just like we talked about. Who does it? Well, now we know whose cards are on the table. Josh Berry, Kenny Humphrey, Rich Doucette, Chad Lawton, Josh Lawton, Brandon Honk is in as well. They're to come in, top off the fuel tank, take a short pit stop, and try to run it all the way to the end. Remember, no green-white checker formatted into the iRacing software yet. You can run this race from the back, or run it backwards, I should say, as now Adam Gilliland coming down pit road as well, Joe. So I think maybe everybody else saw what these drivers wanted to do, and I don't blame them. Do you take the short stop later when you don't have as much time to maneuver through the field, or do you take it now when you still have 100 miles left? I think I agree with this call. It's a gutsy call, but if the cautions fall right, if everything goes your way, it can really pay off. However, it is a gamble, Joe. You end up a lap down here and the caution comes out, your night's pretty much done.
Adam Gill and Brandon Cattell both going off pit road now, and now you see Michael Connie, Kevin King, Brad Davies throwing the hand out the window. They're going to come in this time by. I think this is a brilliant move. It's going to be 0-1 machine. He's going to come down. Tyler Hudson is going to come down to the attention of his crew this time by. Brilliant move. It is a bold move, absolutely, and he's going to be joined by a whole lot of other drivers. Justin Bolton is in, Danny Hansen, Brian Blackford, Michael Connie in. They're all going to come down to the attention of their crew. Kevin King in, Peter Bennett in. It's a bold move. It's a daring move. But I absolutely agree with it, Tony. You've got to play this race backwards. You've already had 60 green flag laps. The caution flag could come out, but you don't want to be left holding the empty basket if it does. If it doesn't, I should say.
Especially, Joe, yeah. Now that we've had so many cars come down pit road, you know that you're going to end up in the back of the field. So it almost forces your hand, in a way, to short pit, so you don't end up at the back of the field if you end up sticking to that one long, one short run strategy. The long, short, long deal, well, I think it might work out for you. And really, like we just said, you have no choice as many cars have come down pit road. Now, Brad Davies and Thomas Lewandowski, they did something a little non-traditional, if you will, stayed out longer than most in the last round of pit stops. They might choose to stay out and see how the cycle's around. Or they might come down pit road as well. It's really, really hard to figure out what strategy is going to work here. Now, Davies is the leader, the 11 car. Thomas Lewandowski is in second. You're going to see them in the midst of a whole bunch of traffic here in just a minute. But nobody off of this round of pit stops, with a couple of exceptions, is a lap down. So everybody that came on pit road now is still in the lead lap. So that worry we just talked about of going a lap down on pit road, Joe, with a 5 or 6 second splash as opposed to a 15 or 18 second 4-tire stop, it eliminates that possibility. So now the argument almost becomes invalid. You almost have to come in if you're Brad Davies, Thomas Lewandowski, or somebody else.
Lewandowski, Ralph Howell had an incredibly slow stop out there. He's going to be at the very end of this field, and he might actually have been caught speeding down pit road. We'll have to go back and see if that actually happened. Nick Ottinger now coming off. Alex Scribner now coming off. It looks like a few other drivers all coming off pit road as well this time. But right now it's Brad Davies in control of this field. The 47 machine, one lap down, trying to fight for his lap back. Currently, Overland's got his lap back, but he needs to get all the way back around. 10 cars left to pit here at Daytona International Speedway. Among them, Brad Davies, Thomas Lewandowski. These guys are going to risk it. These guys think a yellow flag's going to come out, and now they're going to come down pit road.
Yeah, a number of drivers coming in this time. Ashley Miller is one. Brandon Hoff is one. Looks like Nick Ottinger, Alex Scribner all going to come in. And Hey, speaking of Brandon Hoff, or actually not Brandon Hoff, it's Brandon Hawk. We've got two drivers with such similar names, it's hard sometimes to keep them straight. But while I'm on that, never mind. This is the other cool thing we talked about earlier, Joe, as pit stops continue. Brandon Hawk has a promotion going on right now. If you tweet him anytime during the race, I think I don't have the release in front of me, but it was like hashtag Racer Boost. They're giving away free money. They're giving away free iRacing credits. Anytime during the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series races, a Twitter contest they're running. You can find more information about that. I'm pretty sure his Twitter is @BrandonHawk. I might double check that and make sure, but it's a pretty cool deal they got going on. And he's not the only one. A couple other drivers have some promotions going on with sponsors as well.
Hey, anytime you're going to offer me free money, sure, I'll be more than happy to tweet about it. The only problem is we're in the booth, and it makes it a little bit hard to watch the race and do our tweeting at the same time. Jake Sturgis currently being scored as your leader, and I believe it's the 11 machine of Brad Davies currently being scored in second, but that is all subject to change.
Davies is being scored as second. However, here comes the pack up behind him. And in fact, a couple of drivers just worked their way by him as Landon Harrison is being scored in the second spot. He and Cody Bias running by themselves in tandem. But they, too, still have to come to pit road. And like we said, Joe, being that you're going to not lose a lap, you're going to stay on the same lap as the leader, you almost have to come out at this point. Because now if the yellow comes out, Harrison and Bias, well, they're going to go to the back of the field. I don't foresee anybody else coming down pit road for any more stops at this point unless you get some sort of crash damage or having issues. So Cody Bias, Landon Harrison, I think the longer they stay out, the worse they're going to end up cycling through, and that's not a good thing.
Top 5 getting ready to pit this time around. It's going to be Jake Sturgis, Cody Bias, Trey Edson, all coming down to the attention of their crew when they come around this time by. And that should shake out the field. That should be the last of the green flag pit stops that we're going to see out here, Tony, which is very... It's very interesting to watch them do this. Those guys up front, they tried to, they pushed it as long as they could. As Matt Busa down pit road, Trey Edson on pit road, they pushed it as long as they could, as hard as they could. Jake Sturgis still not coming down pit road. I think he's, again, gambling on that yellow flag, because if a yellow flag comes out, he's going to be able to conserve what's in that car, save a little bit of fuel, and try to make it as best he can. Though I think you've got some doubts that he can do it.
Yeah, I just don't see him going 60 laps, Judge. If 44, 45 is what we saw earlier, you're not going to milk one of these cars for 15 laps of fuel. It's not going to happen. And if they do, I'm going to take a look at his computer because something got hacked inside of it. That's how confident I am that the 41 can't make it. But you got to remember the Sturgis guys, PJ and Jake, now while they're very familiar with the top-level series of iRacing, be it the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series or the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, they kind of come from a road racing background as well, and which is even more shocking. I would think they would work this race backwards like everybody else has, but instead, at least Jake is going to gamble on this caution. Well, not even a caution, like just gamble on his strategy. And at this point, yes, he's in a group of cars he's drafting with, but Joe, if he comes down pit road, it's really not going to work out for him. He's on an island by himself at this point, so now he's made his bed. He's going to have to lie in it, and I don't know if it's going to be a very comfortable nap.
He's sitting at the tail end of these lap cars, going about 200, 201 miles per hour through the front stretch at Daytona, now into turns 1 and 2. He's got 15 seconds right now over Cody Bias, Landon Harrison. He's got 32 seconds over Kenny Humpy and Byron Daly, which means the good news for Jake Sturgis here is he's got a little bit of time on his hands. The fastest times we've seen start to finish down pit road have been between 30 and 32 and 35 seconds plus or minus. So Jake Sturgis, even under the best circumstances, gets the best pit stop. He's still going to be at the tail end of the field if he's forced to come down for a pit stop, which I'm sure if it stays green, he will be forced to. Lots of drivers now, one lap down, including Brandon Hoff, Ashley Miller, two-time champion Ray Alfala, Trey Edson, Matt Busa, and Justin Trombley, all one lap down. Not what Ray Alfala needed right at this juncture in the race.
No, it's not, Joe, and that's something we just noticed, so we pointed out and said, whoa, the two cars by himself. and we completely missed it. Apparently a pit penalty or some sort of miscue on the number 2 Ford of Ray Alfalla. He is now running by himself on the racetrack, as you said, 1 lap down in 40th spot, and not in a position for the free pass if the caution were to come out. So Ray Alfalla's luck has gone from great and good to bad and worse. He's going to have a couple of cars catching now. He might get a little bit of a saving grace. That's second and third. Landon Harrison and Cody Bias, but I got bad news for you, Ray. They got to come to pit road relatively soon, and it looks like they have full intentions of just bypassing Ray Alfalla.
Yeah, Ray Alfalla got caught on pit road. He got speeding coming onto pit road. He was forced to come back around to serve that penalty, and that put him 1 lap down. And so, something else, just to chew on this, Tony. This time last season, Ray Alfalla met a very similar fate where he got wrecked out of this race and had to use Daytona as his scratch for the season. So Ray Alfalla, not real lucky at Daytona International Speedway. The good news is, though, he's still running on track. So if he gets enough momentum, if he's able to pass a couple cars, he might be able to salvage this race and save his scratch for later on in the season.
That's a good point, Joe. Yeah, you don't want to start the season using Daytona as your planned drop race. It really puts you in a box for the next 16. And if you wonder what we're talking about, and you're not familiar with the scoring series for the NASCAR Peak, or scoring system, I should say, for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series, it's very similar to the NASCAR Sprint Cup series. You get the 1 point per position, the whole deal. But because of the nature of this series and that these guys aren't full-time racers with million-dollar contracts, they have real lives, they're allowed 1 drop race. So in other words, let's just say you finish 1st through 17th in each one of these races. Well, your worst finish is going to be dropped. It's not going to count. So 17th won't count. Your best 16 races out of 17 count to the championship. And Joe, that's last season something that really was misleading because Tyler Hudson had a huge lead for a while in points. However, when you included his best or his worst drop race, that gap was very minimal.
When you included as his drop race, when you included that last drop, it came down to the last race of the season. It came down to Homestead, Miami for the championship. So that gap, that drop race, that scratch race can make a huge difference. But as we said earlier, you don't want to make it your first race of the season. Ray Alfalla was able to recover from it. But the thing is, he doesn't want to be able to be put in that position. He doesn't be forced in that position again. He doesn't want to be forced to have to make that move and put the pressure on for the next 16 races of the season. Good news though for Alfalla, running 40th. He's the first car 1 lap down. He is eligible for that lucky dog position.
Yeah, it looks like Ashley Miller and Kwame Ajay, they have unlapped themselves the front of the field, so that is a plus. It also leads me to believe that Jake Sturgis, well, no, he's actually at the tail of that pack, so Alfalla is in the free pass position. Looking further back in the field, we talked about promotions a little bit ago that some of these guys were running with their various sponsors, Joe, and one of the other ones I'm aware of and I've kind of been noted about is the 4-car, Brian Day, another driver moving up to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series this season, running around with Nick Ottinger and company. He's got that Gale Force team, part of the Gale Force team, help from Ream, but he's also got his sponsor, PlanBSales.com. They are one of the biggest retailers of die-cast cars. If you're into die-cast cars, I know they've got some specials running after Dale Jr.'s win in the 500. They've got some specials related to the iRacing. There's actually a discount code. If you hit Brian up on Twitter, there's a discount code. I think I saw it was like 10%. Don't quote me on this, but they had some sort of promotion going on with the iRacing stuff that Brian Day's doing here in the Peak Antifreeze series. So it's really cool to see sponsors take full advantage of everything they can do and people they can reach in this series. And Brian Day, one of them. Plan B Sales, great people to work with. I know a lot of people that have bought stuff from them, very pleased with it. And by far, I think if you're not going to go to your local guy and pick up a die cast like some people do, that's the place to get it, Joe. They're usually the people who get the first shipments of stuff. Like, you know when they serial number cars, and like, okay, yeah, like Dale Jr. might get car number 1 of a run, and then Rick Hendrick might get car number 2, but after all those promo pieces are pulled out for the special, the VIP people, Plan B gets the lowest numbered serial number cars usually of anybody out there. And if you know anything about collecting, the lower the serial number, generally the more value those pieces have. So that's certainly something you need to consider. And I know those guys would love if you check them out.
I'm sure they would, and I'm sure I'm gonna have to go over there and pick up a couple of die casts for myself as well. Top four, it's now starting to get a little dicey. Fourth and back, starting around that number 58 machine of Kenny Humpy. They continue to run two lines as if the race is on the line, and for some of these guys, this could be the race for the race. Humpy continuing to lead the 93 machine 3 wide, Daly running 2 wide outside the 58 machine. Cattell, the 32 machine, and Hansen still in the mix. Lots of talent in this second team, in the second group, I should say.
So we'll continue to watch this battle as the temperature is cranking up in the kitchen. We are going to take a quick break here from Daytona. Jake Sturgis on a fuel economy run, trying to make it to the end here at Daytona. We'll be back for the final 20 laps of this one. You're watching the first round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series presented by iRacing.com. Don't go away.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Welcome back to Daytona. The field working around to complete lap number 79. Jake Sturgis has already completed it. He's getting ready to complete lap number 80. He's about 15 seconds behind this group. But remember, he still has to come to pit road, as does Cody Bias and Landon Harrison. Sturgis praying that everything works out to where he might have a shot to win here at Daytona. But the battle for fourth on back, it's a dandy, Joe. Brandon Cattell, Kenny Humpy, Brad Davies, Byron Daly up in the thick of things as well. And this is the raciest we have seen this pack all night long. They've been content all evening to ride single file, occasionally racing side by side. But look, we come to the end, we come down to the money table, and look, the big players are here. You got Connie, Schoenberg, Hudson, Davies, Byron Daly, everybody right here in the middle of this one, all vying for a win here at Daytona.
Soon as they crossed the line, it was 20 to go. Brandon Cattell in the 80 machine leading that second group. Leading position number 4 right now. Kenny Humpy immediately on his tail. And then the talent begins. Brad Davies in that mix. Byron Daly in that mix. Thomas Lewandowski, Danny Hansen, Tyler Hudson, Brian Schoenberg. All names you've heard before here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. And this talent pool continues to drive as hard as they can. They know that they may effectively be driving for their best position or ultimately the win if something happens to the guys up front. Jake Sturgis continues to lead, but he's got maybe 10 laps at best before he's going to have to come down. He needs that yellow flag, and he needs it in a big way. Let's ride on board with Danny Hansen right now, the Pro Geek Consulting Ford Fusion, as he runs behind the 93 machine of 3 wide Daily. Those guys running 2 wide right now, knowing that every lap they have, every position they get from this point on, that is another opportunity for them. That is another opportunity they need to get up front and get position, because the race could end where they're at.
Certainly could. And the closer we get to the end, the tighter the vice cranks down on this entire group. The clock is ticking. They know it's time to go, and they got to find a way to get to the front. And that's why you saw Byron Daly just shoot ahead briefly of Kenny Humphrey and have a shot at Brandon Cattell, but couldn't quite get the momentum behind him. Hey, we talked about it earlier, Joe, and right now probably be a good a time as any before we forget it about some of the things Peak's doing in addition to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. The other cool part, they're giving last year's champion to start this relationship, which was Tyler Hudson, and this year's NASCAR iRacing Series champion, which is the series that all drivers are eligible for in iRacing. They've now called it the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Dream Series, but they have a shot to be part of that Peak Antifreeze Stock Car Dream Challenge. Yeah, the same challenge that allowed Patrick Staropoli to rise from Harvard med student, a relative nobody in the world, to NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series star for Michael Waltrip Racing. It's a really, really cool opportunity that they have given each and every member of iRacing.com, and like we talked earlier, Joe, you don't have to dump a bunch of money into it. You just have to be good at your craft, and that is what is so cool about what Peak's starting to do for this, well, this sport, because it really is a sport in and of itself.
It is a sport in its own right. It is a sport where drivers compete with skill and skill alone. Effectively, all those machines mechanically are exactly the same. The only thing they get to edit is how it sets up and how they manage their car and how they manage their strategy throughout the race here tonight. So when you consider it, it is the ultimate sport. It is the ultimate sport, as now with around car number 8, it's going to go the rewind. Gilliland in the middle. The 19 machine belonging to Mitchell Hunt. He's going to try to get the big momentum on the outside, and it looks like Schoenberg wants to help him out there in the 55 machine, trying to play both lines. 75 ducks back low. The 91 now getting help from the 1 of Richard Doucette. Doucette shoves him up front, and now up we got another contender up to the high side. It's a 33 machine. That 33 belonging to Brian Blackburn. He's going to try himself up high, rewind around your immediate past champion, the 01 machine of Tyler Hudson low. It's getting hairy up there.
Remember at the opening part of the race, Joe, we saw Brandon Cattell up top. We saw him get ready to drop to the field. But no, what happened? He rocketed forward. He was able to use the draft, the side draft to his advantage, and Mitchell Hunt was one of the guys he took advantage of. Maybe Mitchell has learned a little something here, and he's going to be the first guy to go out there and try it. So far, he hasn't lost any ground. He hasn't gained a whole lot either, but he hasn't lost anything, and I think that's the thing he needs to remember. If things go right, maybe Mitchell Hunt can be onto something, because look, if he can get the momentum behind him, there's nobody in front of him. Mitchell Hunt's got a clear path in the front.
He has a clear path to the front, but can he take advantage of it? The 41 machine, Jake Sturgis, continues to lead. 14 seconds now over Landon Harrison and Cody Bias. And now Jake Sturgis needs to be looking for the safety of pit road. He's got to pit sooner rather than later. He's effectively 2 laps away. Effectively 2 laps away from being out of fuel. Sturgis, he's no longer rolling the dice. He is going for broke.
And Joe, the flip side of this race being your throwaway race, if you will, if you choose to use it as such, is that you can take a big gamble like Jake Sturgis and try to win Daytona 250 here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. What an upset would that be? And if you'll notice, Joe, something we haven't talked about, he's been riding around at the tail of this pack, which means he can use a little less fuel. He can half throttle it. He can back off because he's using the wind and the draft to drag him around the racetrack. And it might not seem like much, but it might buy him just enough fuel to coast around at the end of the race. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying nobody thought Darrell Waltrip would win that race in 1989 on his economy run, and what did he do? This exact same thing. So Jake Sturgis now on the Darrell Waltrip strategy, and he's the only one left because Cody Bias and Landon Harrison, they're on pit road. Oh, trouble up in the turn 4 area of the speedway.
Trouble off turn 4. Looks like the 50 machine of Alex Scribner gets a piece of it. Josh Lawton in the 40's got a bent up tail end. The 50 and the 40 machine, Alex Scribner goes around. No caution, I'm being told. No caution. So they're going to continue to run it.
Jake Sturgis now coming to pit road. I think that yellow might have scared him, Joe. That or he simply was out of fuel. Sturgis, to the attention of his crew, he only needs enough for 27.5 miles. That was about a 3-second stop. He is down and away already in his 9X Chevrolet, and now the waiting game begins. Will the 41 machine, with help from Simroom on the quarter panel, be able to outrun the leaders? Here they come off the 31-degree banking at turn number 4. Sturgis crosses the pit exit line. He's got help from Chris Overland immediately behind him. But, Joe, that pack is coming at 200 miles an hour, and that gap is quickly getting smaller. I think Sturgis is about ready to be inhaled and spit back out.
And that group, that second pack that has been waiting so patiently, that second pack that has been so diligent in what they're doing, they are unforgiving. The 58 machine. The 58 machine of Kevin Humpy, or Kenny Humpy, continues to lead. Now almost throws a block on the 80 machine. 3 wide up front. It's getting scary up here. Everybody's about to test what they're made of. The 80 machine throws it down low, makes the move. He's going to lead, and now business is picking up with 10 to go.
25 miles or less for the Daytona 250 for the NASCAR iRacing Peak Antifreeze Series. I just about called it last year's name, Joe, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter because peaking is what everybody is doing here, and that move by Brandon Cattell, that was absolutely gutsy. It was absolutely brilliant. And look at that race car, Joe. Whose car does that remind you of? That's exactly what kind of move it looked like in turn 3 a lap or 2 ago.
That was a dangerous move, but it paid off for him in a big way, and now Brandon Cattell has the best seat in the house, but he's got to know there's going to be a lot of angry drivers. It's a hornet's nest. He's leading now. Brad Davies in that mix. Kenny Humpy, Kenny Humpy almost gets the wall. It's courtesy of Brandon Cattell. Humpy now side by side with him, and I don't think there was any pleasantries exchanged between these two drivers. Humpy back up front, and the Pro Series driver, the Pro Series champion, he is wasting no time trying to make his name here in the Peak Antifreeze Series.
They bypassed Nick Ottinger. You might have saw there on the apron. Ottinger fell victim to a pit road penalty earlier. He's coming back on the speedway after coming off pit road. Ray Alfalo, the next car to go 1 lap down. He's about 15 seconds ahead of this group, but he is back on the lead lap since Sturgis has pitted. Meanwhile, Humpy and Cattell still going at it, and Joe, what we've noticed already and what could play a factor in this, we've already seen Cattell try to work both lanes just like that. He works the top, he works the bottom, he tries to keep him behind him like that, but the problem is he opens that bottom like he did just there, and if Kenny Humpy or whoever behind him gets that run, they're going to leave Brandon Cattell stuck in the sucker hole. It's a brilliant strategy by Cattell, but it also is very risky, but at this point, it's what you got to do. Track position is king, and you do anything you can to win the season opener here at Daytona.
Tony, this is where you roll the dice. This is where you make the move. You know, you don't get the $10,000, the banquet, the ring, the trophy by making safe moves all season. You have to throw it in there. You have to get it mixed up. Now the 58's going to get it mixed up with the 80 of Brandon Cattell. Give a shout to Kenny Humpy. This is his first Peak Antifreeze Series race, and he is doing brilliantly. Now he's got the advantage on the 80 one more time. 7 laps go.
As the 11, here we go.
The 11, the 01 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump through turns 1 and 2. Oh my gosh, the humanity. The 01 machine, Tyler Hudson, heavy smoke pouring out of that machine. The 11 is decrippled. The 93 machine started to crab walk. 91 is smoking. The 1 is smoking. This changes everything.
And Joe, it started in turn number 1 with a bump draft gone awry. We saw Brad Davies, the pole sitter, get a push from the car that was behind him. I didn't quite see who that was at the moment. It looks like it was Thomas Lewandowski. Got into his bumper, turned that car sideways. The left front hooked the apron, Joe, and pretty much de-wedged the race car. Davies had no choice but to turn back right. And with Lewandowski still on his rear bumper, just shoved them into the outside, took out Michael Connie. Poor Tyler Hudson had nowhere to go. Adam Gillen caught a piece of it. So did Rich Doucette. Somehow, the 19 machine of Mitchell Hunt, he got a piece of it as well. The 13 car was in it as well. Byron Daly also caught a piece of it. Brad Mayer was in that 13 machine. And a number of top contenders taken out in this one, Joe, as this is the big one here at the very end. It's going to set up about a 1 or 2 lap shootout for the trophy here at Daytona.
This should set up a 2 lap dash for the cash. We talked about making those bold moves. The 16 machine that of Lewandowski, he tried to make a bold move, trying to push that 11 forward, but it was mistimed, and that just caused a chain reaction through the field. You're watching the replays now live here on PSRTV and our affiliates across the network. I don't know if I have words to describe what I just saw. 90 laps, over 90 laps of very clean racing. And for a lot of drivers, a lot of your championship contenders, a lot of guys have been leading all night. This takes it out. 94 laps, all set to waste for several drivers out there tonight. Heartbreaking. That's the only word that comes to mind right now, Tony. Heartbreaking.
It really is, Joe, and a lot of championship contenders, people we thought were going to be in it for the championship. And don't get me wrong, there's still 16 races to go. We talked about this possibly being a drop race for these guys if things really go awry. So it's not over by any means, don't get me wrong. However, Ray Alfala, a good break for him in 34th. He was at the very tail of the lead lap. He's able to stay on the lead lap. But guys like Tyler Hudson, Nick Ottinger all catching pieces of it, Brad Davies, those were championship hopefuls. They might have to come from the bottom of the standings to the top. We're under caution here at Daytona. We anticipate a 1 or 2 lap shootout to end this one. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fast-paced, and I don't know if I can hold my breath that long, so I'm going to get all the oxygen I can. You better do the same thing because I got a feeling you'll be holding yours just the same. We'll be right back to Daytona where you're watching the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series presented by iRacing.com on PSRTV. Don't go away.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Welcome back to Daytona. The field still pacing around at a very, very reduced 70 miles per hour, Joe. And we were in the break sitting here looking at the top of this field, looking for the running order. The drivers that are going to be in contention for this checkered flag as we see some more replays here of the accident that put us under this, the first and only yellow flag of the evening. There's a pretty doggone good shot. We're going to have a first-time winner here tonight.
As you watch the replay over and over again here on your screen, a lot of those guys that haven't won a race yet in the Peak Antifreeze Series, NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, all in contention. Kenny Humpy is now won. He was your Pro Series champion. Last season's Pro Series champion, Adam Gilliland, won this race last year, so the precedent could be set almost if Kenny Humpy makes it 2 for 2. Danny Hansen hasn't won a race at this level. He's in contention. Brandon Cattell has not won. Thomas Lewandowski has not won. Brad Mahar, Byron Daly. A lot of these names here you're hearing in the top 10 have not won a race here at the top level. So this could be a night where we're going to see a new driver rise to the top. And that new driver who rises to the top will have a huge advantage in 2 weeks' time when they go back racing.
This race is kind of, well, it's supposed to be the Daytona 500 of the Peak Antifreeze Series. It's the biggest race of the season. It's the opener. It's at the World Center of Racing. But, Joe, you look at the similarities between this race and the Daytona 500. How many drivers have picked up their first and, in some case, only win at the Daytona 500? There have been a few. Derek Cope, Sterling Marlin come to mind. Going back a couple of years, let's see, Trevor Bayne picked up his first win at the Daytona 500. And as we come back to the stripe, it's going to be 2 laps to settle it. An effective green-white checker, Joe. And at any point, if the caution comes out, this race will be over. But you look back in the years, Dale Earnhardt Jr., yes, that guy, Dale Earnhardt Jr., got his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series win right here at Daytona a few years ago. And maybe a couple of others could do the same thing here as the years go on. If memory serves me, I think Ray Alfala's first Peak Antifreeze Series win came at Daytona, but I need to fact check that one to be sure. Nonetheless, he has one here, and it's been pretty much a who's who of sim racing that has gone to victory lane in this series at this race. And you've got a chance now, if you're anybody really on the lead lap, to put your name in the history books as a winner in the Peak Antifreeze Series at the Daytona International Speedway.
Something you forgot to mention there, Tony, 5 years ago, when NASCAR and iRacing teamed up to create this top tier of sim racing, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the very, very original first race to kick off this entire series 5 years ago. Look at where we've come in 5 years. We now have a title sponsor. The winner of this recognized as a NASCAR champion. They get the ring. They get everything, all the honors that come with it. They get the cash prize. So those drivers are immortalized, similar to the way the drivers of the 500 are immortalized. You know, any time you can put your name in the same sentence as Dale Earnhardt Jr., you know you've accomplished something. And whoever wins this race tonight, whoever wins this in the 2-lap shootout we are about to bear witness to, they will enter that exclusive fraternity.
Top 4 drivers have never won a NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race. Kenny Humphrey, the Pro Series champion. Kenny Hansen, Brandon Cattell, Thomas Lewandowski. Here we go. Pace car is off the racetrack. Very, very quickly up to speed is Kenny Humphrey, but he got a push from Brandon Cattell, and now Danny Hansen going to work the outside. Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1.
Schoenberg on the very high side in the 55 machine, getting the shove. The 33 of Brian Blackford, those two drivers are on a mission. The 93 of Daly, despite the fact that he has damage, he's going to try to get around the 13 machine. 13 holding on for dear life. He's banged up, though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide, down the super stretch, going into turns 3 and 4.
Here we go.
And now the 93, 39, the 30 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. This will be the race for the win up front.
Caution is out. The leader is Kenny Humphrey, and by the rules of iRacing, the 2013 Pro Series champion for the 2nd consecutive year, Kenny Humphrey, if he can lip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona. Kenny Humphrey has got to be thrilled, and it was all about track position, Joe. We saw when they went 4 wide into turn 3. We didn't say it, but I know you were thinking it, I was thinking it, and the entire viewing audience was thinking it. This cannot end well. It did not end well. And if Kenny Humphrey can coast back to the start-finish line, he will win, as we said, the very first race of his Peak Antifreeze Series career.
Not a bad way to start your entire NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series career there, Tony. First race out, lead a lap, and ultimately win it. So now you have a perfect record in the top level of iRacing, in the top level of NASCAR sim racing. That has got to be a huge way to start off your career. Only bright things can come from this.
You're exactly right, Joe. And we talked a second ago about who all has won this race at Daytona. Ray Alfala, Richard Towler, Adam Gilliland, Dale Earnhardt Jr. And as he works his way off turn 4, he's about half a mile away from adding his name to that very same list. And it's not the way he wanted to do it, I'm sure, but he'll take it any way he can get it, whether it's 70 or 170 miles an hour, off of turn 4 and down to the tri-oval. The NRT server Chevrolet of Kenny Humphrey will win the first race of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze season here at Daytona. Brandon Cattell, Danny Hansen, Thomas Lewandowski, and Brian Schoenberg will complete the top 5. My, oh my, Joe, what a race. Clean for the first 90-some laps. and then it came down to a 3/4 of a lap shootout as the caution came out with drivers making desperate moves in turn number 3. But Kenny Humpy, the right man at the right place at the right time, is going to victory lane at Daytona.
And that just is a testament to what he has been able to do here tonight. He negotiated himself in the right places when you need to be at those right places. He negotiated himself in the right positions, took his time cutting through traffic, and when push came to shove, he found his way to put himself up front and put himself in a position where he could win this race. Kenny Humpy earned this one, and if tonight is any indication of the rest of his season, if tonight is any indication of where he could go from here, we're going to see a lot of bright things for this 58 team.
Yeah, Joe, I think there's no doubt about that. Sometimes you get drivers that win here and you say, well, it was just a fluke. They're only good at plate races. They're only good at this type of racing. Not so much Kenny Humpy. As we documented at the outset of the show, Kenny Humpy has proven himself to be a winner no matter what type of racetrack, what type of race car, what type of sim it is. And this could be the start to a very fantastic career. He was a late, well, I won't say late addition, but he was a late adoptee, if you will, of iRacing. He's only been on the service for a couple of seasons now, but he ascended very rapidly through the ranks. As we said, won the Pro Series championship, and now, guess what? He's gone from Pro Series champion to now leading the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series championship standings after one race at Daytona. And unlike sometimes, I'm not so sure he's going to relinquish that anytime soon. Kenny Humpy could be a force to be reckoned with.
Well, I mean, as we've talked about, you're right. As you take a look at the onboard here real quick, as we talk about, Kenny Humpy is a veteran of sim racing. Kenny Humpy's name has been synonymous with sim racing, whether it be any of the older sims that have preceded this, and now in iRacing. If anyone can figure out how to navigate that curve best, it is going to be Kenny Humpy. And now he's got a big win to his name for it. He's got a big finish to show for it. And now we look at the next 16 races and say, you've won this one. What happens in the next 16?
It's really, really hard to say what could happen. I mean, of course, we said the same things about Adam Gilliland last year, Joe. Came in as a Pro Series champion, stood the sim racing world in its ear by winning here at Daytona, and what then was a fairly dominant performance. Kenny Humpy wasn't dominant tonight, but he was certainly up front each and every lap. I mean, he didn't just come from the back and luck into this. He had a good race car. He qualified well. I mean, look back, he started 17th, only, 22 thousandths of a second off the pole position. But very quickly after the green, he shot to the front, and he was a contender all night long. So don't think by any means Kenny Humpy lucked into this one. He certainly earned it. And as we go through the season, as we said, he's going to be good at Richmond. He's going to be good at Daytona, or at Darlington. He's going to be good at Charlotte and everywhere else. So this is bad news possibly for the rest of the field, but you got to feel good too for guys that are also making their first start in the series. Guys like, let's go down the list. Brian Day, the Plan B sales car, finished 7th. Brad Mahar finished 9th. And then you got perennial contenders like Kevin King, Byron Daly finishing at the back of the top 10. Brian Schoenberg, the double nickel, finished 5th. We'll go through the whole finishing order with you in just a couple of minutes, but things could be interesting this season. That's all we'll start by saying. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and talk to your winner as well as the rest of the top finishers. Don't go away. Kenny Humpy, Brandon Cattell, and others up next here live from Daytona.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
You got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
First thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to put the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. Wow, what a race we have just seen here. The first race of the newly rebranded NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series presented by iRacing.com. And Joe, we always expect a fantastic race at Daytona. We expect a little chaos, but tonight's race didn't fit the mold. It really broke the mold. We had 90-some laps of strategic maneuvering, strategic contemplating and strategizing and whatever other verb you want to use. And then with about 15 laps to go, it went haywire, and it was simply a matter of get to the front as quick as you can. We saw the big one, but we saw somebody who had used their strategy to get to the front, make full use of it, and take advantage of it, ending up in victory lane.
We saw a lot of quality driving. We saw a lot of intelligent driving. Everyone who finished here tonight should be very proud of what they've done and how they did it tonight. But only one man can stand at the top of the podium. And tonight, in his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series start powered by iRacing, that man was Kenny Humpy.
It was Humpy. Brandon Cattell finished in the second spot. Danny Hansen, Thomas Lewandowski, Brian Schoenberg rounded out the top 5. Then it was Brian Blackford, Brian Day, Michael Connie, damage and all from that accident, Brad Mahar, and Kevin King rounding out the top 10.
Byron Daly finishing in 11th in the 93 machine. Michael Johnson finishing 12th. Josh Berry 13th. Brandon Schmidt 14th. Chad Lawton finishing 15th tonight. Carson McClellan, your shootout winner, 16th. Alex Warren 17th. Brandon Bowie 18th. Rob Ackley 19th. And Kwame Ajay finishing in the top 20.
Two-time series champion Ray Alfalla finished 21st. Landon Harrison 22nd. Trey Eidson, Legends car racer from the Carolinas, finished 23rd. Josh Lawton, 24th. Jake Sturgis, the leader of the most laps tonight, 27. He finished 25th. Peter Bennett, Robert Hall, Adam Gilliland, last year's winner of this race, Justin Bolton, and Alex Scribner rounded out the top 30.
Brandon Hawk finishing 31st. Brody Bias 32nd. Ashley Miller finishing 33rd. Matt Busa, the first driver, one lap down, will finish 34th. Justin Trombley 35th. Chris Overland, Brandon Hoff, Nick Ottinger, Michael Hunt, and last season's champion Tyler Hudson finishing all the way back in position number 40.
More than likely, this one's going to be his drop race for sure. Brad Davies, the pole sitter, finished 21st. Rich Doucette finished 42nd. And P.J. Sturgis, the 57 machine, 17 laps in arrears, will finish shotgun on the field. Joe Cortez has caught up with a very, very elated and I'm sure somewhat stunned Kenny Humpy in victory lane, the winner in his very first Peak Antifreeze Series start. Joe?
Kenny Humpy, driver of that number 58 NRT game server Chevrolet, elated in his very first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series start, his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series win. Hey, Kenny, you've done this before. You've won races before in sim racing, but this one has to be more than anything else you've done in your career.
Oh, yeah, it's huge, especially with the kind of field these guys have and this kind of series that this puts on. And it's huge to win here, and especially at Daytona, which just caps the whole thing off. Just winning at Daytona is one of the greatest things you can do, whether it's sim racing or real life. So, I mean, it's awesome. And to do it in this field, it's just, like you said, I'm definitely elated.
I think elated is an understatement to what all the emotion going on right now. You put yourself in a position to win tonight from the word go. Tonight you started within the top 20. You climbed your way to the top through intelligent moves. How was the quality of racing out there tonight? How great was it to be racing green flag all the way through up to the very end?
Yeah, I mean, the plan really early on, before we even qualified, I was just thinking, I'm going to go to the back and kind of ride it out. But the way everybody was racing, everybody was giving a lot of room. It was pretty respectful out there, and I didn't feel like we were all over the place or felt like we were going to wreck at any point there. So I kind of just went with the flow and kind of, went with whatever line was going and found myself up in the top 10 pretty early. And, I mean, everything was just going smooth, and I made the right moves there at the end to luckily get up front. I'm not entirely sure how it actually even happened. I just kind of, a few laps there, we were running the top, and all of a sudden we were out front, and just things came together, and we never really had any trouble. It was a pretty smooth race. But no, everybody did a great job. We were all giving each other room. There wasn't too much pinching going on, and that's why I kind of bailed on the whole going to the back thing. But everything worked out in the end.
Kenny, pit strategy seemed to be critical for your run tonight. You came in around lap 40-ish with everybody else as everyone else came down. Then you made the decision to come down for that second short stop. How important was that second short stop, that long strategy to your win tonight?
Yeah, I didn't want to take, I just wanted to spend as least amount of time on pit road as possible. So we took, pit early and take as little fuel as possible. And I don't think it actually helped us too much, because I think when we came out there, we were still around the 10th to 12th position there. And luckily I was just able to choose the right lines and get back up there. But I mean, really it didn't help as much as I thought it was going to. It was probably more me getting on pit road a little slower or whatnot, but still it turned out to work out just fine. So, I definitely think it was part of it, but I think I could have done a little better job and gotten on pit road better, and it probably would have worked out a little better for us. But it didn't go as planned, but it still ended up okay.
The Gen 6 car here in iRacing, re-engineered and reconfigured for tonight's race, ahead of tonight's race to open up the Peak Antifreeze Series. What did you learn from tonight's race that will help you later on the season? What was the biggest takeaway in running this new version of the car in this pack that you'll be able to use for future races down the line?
Yeah, this was our only super speedway on the season or on the schedule as far as I'm concerned. So really, I don't think anything we can really take away from here. I mean, it's a completely different animal once we get back down to the intermediate tracks and, like tracks like Richmond and everything. I don't think there's going to be too much you're going to be able to take away from it. Hopefully the racing continues the way it was tonight. I thought tonight was, an awesome race. Everybody did a great job. We got through all our green flag pit stops without any problems. And, hopefully all that continues and we can just kind of get into a rhythm there like we did earlier. Just go on with it. But, things change. Once we go to those other tracks, it'll be completely different. So, we'll see what happens, but I don't think you can take too much away from a track like this and say anything you learned here from Michigan or any other 1.5 mile track like that. So I mean, this is kind of a one-off deal. It's kind of cool to win it. It's still an awesome experience.
Definitely an awesome experience. A lot of people make it work for you and the 58 team. I know there's a lot of people you want to thank for this one. Microphone's all yours. Just take it away. It's open to you. Whatever you need to say, here's your moment.
I appreciate it. First off, I got to thank the team. They did an awesome job. Kevin, Chad Lawton, Rich, Josh Lawton, Jared Crawford came on board. Mike Skinner is over here now too with us, and he was spotting for me tonight. And they all did a hell of a job, and they came up with this setup, and it was just fast from the beginning. Got to thank them guys a lot. NRT servers, NRTGameservers.com. They've sponsored me for probably about 5 years now. So it's cool to be able to take them to victory lane here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and Inside SimRacing.tv's on there. Darren, Sean, those guys, they do a hell of a job covering all the sim racing world stuff. And got to thank iRacing.com for putting the whole series together, and Peak Antifreeze, they came on board, and it's kind of cool to have them on board. So, just got to thank everybody, you guys, for putting the broadcasts on. We all appreciate it. It's fun to watch. I think that's about it.
Kenny Humpy in his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing Start, gets his first win at the big stage at Daytona International Speedway. Kenny, congratulations. We will see you in 2 weeks' time at Las Vegas.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
That was Kenny Humpy, driver of the NRT Game Server Chevrolet, coming in first tonight at the Daytona 250 to kick off the Peak Antifreeze Series. Tony Stevens has caught up with our second-place finisher, driver of that number 80 machine, Brandon Cattell.
Certainly have, Joe. Before we go any further, I want to make a blanket correction/apology. Don't know why I thought Kenny Humpy, the former Pro Series champ, or the defending Pro Series champion, I should say, That was actually Chris Overland. Kenny finished third in that series last season, so my apologies and our correction been issued. Sorry for that, but it was Chris Overland. Don't want to take away from his moment in winning that series, but that was my fault. I apologize for that. Now, on to further business. Brandon Cattell finished in the runner-up spot, and Brandon, we thought earlier that black and silver number 80 was going to look a whole lot like its predecessor, the black and silver number 3, at the front of this field tonight, and you did it proud, but you came up one spot short. What was the difference?
I don't know, man. That thing was bad fast. That was the fastest car I've ever had at Daytona, ever. In any series on iRacing, but it was just extremely fast. Kenny and I just swapped the lead like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and every time I could get the lead back from him. But that last caution came out before I could try to get it back from him again and set us up for that green white checkered, which I knew they were going to wreck. I just didn't know when to go with and try to make a move on Kenny. But man, it was crazy. That car was fast.
Fast is always good at a place that breeds speed like Daytona. Early in the race, we saw you up top by yourself, and we thought you were going to go backwards. You ended up making your way to the front and ended up taking the lead at some point. Not on the top, but that top side move got you there. Then later in the race, like you said, you were able to get back to the lead. You made a bonsai 3-wide move in turn 3. Did you learn anything up top by yourself that helped you make that move in turn 3 late in the race with that kind of confidence, or were those completely separate, or were they just luck of the draw?
I'm telling you, man, the car was just fast. The way it worked up top by itself, those first couple of laps, it was just incredibly fast. I just started pulling up there, getting a lot of side draft off the 2 lanes below me, and it just pulled me straight up to around the top 6. Then Chris Overland hopped high, and then I was able to push him to the lead because I was so cool running up there by himself. But man, for the bonsai move 3 wide to the bottom, that was just random. I knew that those 2 lap cars were going to be down there, and everybody was going to run close to the wall down the back, and I was planning it, and I just decided to side draft the heck out of I think it was Byron, and just fake Kenny out a little bit and make him stay high, and that's what worked out. It worked out to my plan. Shot 3 wide to the bottom of the lead.
And you ended up, like you said, with a pretty solid finish. You got 16 more races to go this season. Obviously, you're a seasoned veteran of this series, having gone through it before. So, what now does this mean to set your season up? You're on top of the points with only one guy ahead of you, and that's Kenny, and everybody else behind you. Does this change the way you look at the rest of the 2014 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series season?
It does. On one hand, it's Daytona. It's anybody can win, you know. And the other, you got a good points day, top 5, and it those never hurt, you know. Just it kind of makes you feel good about your season, just to start it off real good at Daytona, and just feel real good to get back in the car in 2 weeks at Vegas.
Well, we certainly know that you're going to be energized and pumped up going into that race at Vegas, and that one always seems to be a wild card as well. But I know, Brandon, there's a lot of people that helped get you to this spot. You talk about that fast race car. Who helped to put it under you and behind you?
Well, first I got to thank everybody at Cody Bias Racing. They worked so hard on this setup this past couple of months just to get this thing going, and it was unbelievably fast. Cody Bias worked his butt off every day, made it really, really fast in qualifying. Race trim was just unbelievable. It was the only reason why I could make those moves. Just I can't thank everybody over there. There's so much. Just I gotta thank my sponsors, Robert Cattell Roofing, well, only sponsor, but my dad's company, roofing company in Southwest Florida, and gotta thank iRacing for hosting this, Peak for sponsoring the series. This is awesome that they're sponsoring it this year. And gotta thank you guys for broadcasting, and just all my teammates. Just great way to start off the season.
Certainly is. Congratulations, Brandon. We look forward to seeing you in more races to come.
Yep. Thanks.
Joe Cortez, looks like you have also caught up with our third place finisher, a guy with a winning pedigree on the race car, at least as far as the paint scheme and the sponsor go, and that's Danny Hansen.
Danny Hansen in the colors that that become synonymous in a way with championship status, running the Pro Geek Consulting Ford Fusion tonight. Danny, you definitely looked in championship contention tonight, finishing third after starting eighth. That's got to be a huge boost to your confidence going into the fifth season of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
Oh yeah, it's a huge push in my confidence. I mean, last year I think finished this race either 42nd or 43rd, and kind of the rest of my season kind of went the same way, just getting caught up in a lot of incidents that weren't really any of my doing. So it's great to go out there, first race of the year, get my first top 5, and get, it looks like to have the good luck on our side this year, and hopefully carry that throughout the season.
Definitely something you'll need to do if you want to be able to be up the front at the top of the field. But tonight, third place finish, definitely a great place to finish. What was the secret? What would you really credit this third place finish to? Was it the 98 laps of clean racing? Was it the pit strategy? Where do you really see, where did it all come together for you in the Pro Geek team?
I think for us, we got our second pit stop for some reason was really good. I mean, I started 8th, and I think I worked my way up to 4th early in the race, and I didn't like the way things were looking, and I think I dropped all the way back up to 40, or all the way back down to 40th. And we were kind of banking on a caution. We thought that was going to happen, and the first pit stop I was probably up to 25th, and then the second pit stop I was right there in the top group, and I just found myself on the outside line, and things opened up, and next thing you know, it's 20 laps to go, and we're up in 5th, and things just kind of played our way from that point.
The track really seemed to be open tonight, 2 wide, 3 wide, and at one point 4 wide racing on the track. How much fun was it to run this car completely open, being able to run any lane and be fast with this talented group of drivers behind you?
I grew up playing either NASCAR arcade games or simulator games, and tonight's race was probably one of the most fun races I was actually a part of it. 94 with 95, however many laps we had of green flag racing, and you were tensed up the whole way pretty much. It was a really good experience.
Danny, big third place finish tonight. 2 weeks we go to Las Vegas Speedway. How do you adjust from that? How do you come off the high from this, the third place win, and focus yourself to be in similar contention for that race in 2 weeks' time?
You're right. It's a big difference. It's going to be just getting the line down, getting a setup that doesn't tighten up on the long run, and trying not to abuse the tires early in a run, and find something that's good on the long run. That was our issue there last year. So we'll be working on that setup quite a bit here in the next upcoming weeks.
So a lot of practice, a lot of setup practice that's going to go in the next 2 weeks for you and your team. I know you got the champion colors on your hood, the green and white Pro Geek Consulting on the hood. Who else makes it work for you in the 32 team?
Yeah, it's awesome to have Pro Geek and Matt Salo back in the car. They sponsored me in the Pro Series, and we had some good success in that series. So it's looking like that's good luck and great partnership with them. Garrett Smithley Racing, he did a pretty cool job tweeting all the live updates for me tonight on Twitter, and go check him out, GarrettSmithley.com. Up and coming driver in the ARCA series. Jeremy Lukazga on Twitter, and JDR Graphics, RCRL as well.
That is Danny Hansen finishing third tonight. Danny, congratulations on a big finish, and we'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks in Las Vegas.
Thank you.
That's Danny Hansen, driver of the Pro Geek Ford Fusion, finishing third tonight. Tony Stevens caught up with our fourth place finisher, Thomas Lundowski.
Driver that number 16 Ford, and Thomas, I'm pretty sure you know what the first question is going to be, and that is very simply, what happened with Brad Davies to trigger that multi-car event-changing wreck towards the end?
Just one of those cases where it's coming down the end of the race, and I gave him a little bump, and it kind of upset his car, and it made him catch the apron, and he kind of got sideways and couldn't really stop in time for everything. Just kind of, came together. It's really unfortunate. I feel bad. I tried getting off his bumper as best I could. I was, off the gas, and it was almost like I was hooked back there on him. Just couldn't pull it off him. Unfortunate. Sorry to everyone that got caught up in that wreck. It's ruined a lot of people's, good runs today.
Of course, like we talked about in the broadcast, the good news is for them, they're allowed one drop race. This could be it. You don't want to start the year out using Daytona as your drop, but hey, it's been done before. It'll be done again. Things are going to happen. But the rest of the race, you had a pretty stout race car. You had speed no matter where you wanted to go. You started on the outside of the front row. Was the car that good by itself as was it was with other people, or was it simply a matter of people really wanted to work with you knowing you had a fast race car?
It was probably a combination of both. We had a really, good race setup. I was actually shocked that we qualified as high as we did. I was probably considering we might be top 10 with that kind of lap time, but I didn't think it'd be good enough for second. But, pretty much early in the race, I was just, trying to keep my nose clean, just saving fuel. So we had a shorter pit stop at the end to gain more track position. And, the car was just really fast. A lot of, thanks goes out to, Michael Conti and all those guys over at J-Show, Jason Loafing, Brian Schoenberg. We all worked together and set up, and, a bunch of us had really good runs tonight with it.
And, of course, that's a good way to start out your season. We've asked everybody else about it. And, of course, we have to ask you the same thing. What's this do now for the next 16 races for the 16 group?
Well, it's just nice, to get a good run in the first race of the season. Sets you up really nicely. And hopefully gives us momentum going forward.
Always a plus. Who all does help to make it happen with the 16 car?
I just like to thank the guys at RCRL.com. They came aboard this year for me. It's been a couple years unsponsored, and they decided to step up and help me out this year. So big thanks to those guys. And Brad Davies, my teammate, who I unfortunately got in an accident with tonight. And all the guys over at J-Show Motorsports.
Well, there is your fourth place finisher, Thomas Lewandowski. And Joe, he's got a good last name. I think I did call him Charles Lewandowski at one point in the show. Nationwide Series driver, so I guess he's got that much going for him. But nonetheless, he finishes fourth here tonight after being out front of the field for 4 laps during the course of the evening. And I think the guy that's in the, let's just say he should play some Powerball tonight. The 5th place finisher in the 55, standing by with you.
That's right, a guy that I have been following for well over a decade now. Brian Schoenberg finishing at 5th tonight. And Brian, this has got to be almost an emotional victory for you on many levels. At the end of last season, you were talking about hanging it up, not coming back, and here you are at Daytona, the world center of racing, and you finish 5th. That's huge, buddy.
Yeah, Joe, that one was for you. I know you were cheering me on there. I'm sure you were on the broadcast, so I can't wait to watch it back later on. But, I mean, it was just really a great race for us. We had excellent pit strategy. Our pit stops went smooth. They went well. We had a very good race car. We played it smart all race. And let me tell you something. I was pushing Danny Hansen on the high side there, my teammate, for the longest time. And I got shuffled out of line due to a little miscommunication. And that probably was a pretty lucky thing because when they had that big crash there, towards the end of the race, Conti got kind of demolished in it partially. So that probably was going to be me until I got shuffled out of line and I was able to maneuver through that wreck pretty nicely. So everything just kind of seemed to work its way on its own today, and it turned out to be a very nice race for us. This track has been very hard on me. It's caused a lot of frustration in the past. I mean, we've run 4 races here, the first race of the year at Daytona, and I've been wrecked in 3 out of those 4 races. So it was nice for this 5th one to just get a top 5 finish and have a clean car and just, have everything go right.
Definitely have everything go right and just have everything work for you and the 55 team. How much fun was it tonight? Just to be able to run in and out of lines and running in and out of drafts. At one point, we saw you go 3 wide several times on that high side, making it work. You look like you were just having a blast in this Gen 6 car. How much fun was it out there?
Honestly, I used to hate this type of racing, but that was the most fun I've probably ever had on a plate racetrack, pretty much ever. So props to everyone at iRacing, I guess you could say, because it made a great package. And for the most part, I mean, everyone was driving a really, really, really good race. It got kind of scary on that final restart because there's a couple damaged cars, that stayed out there at the end. But I don't blame them. I would have done the same thing. I had to do the same thing in this very race actually last year. And I'll tell you something. My old buddy Brian Blackford got hooked up with me there on that final restart, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is gonna be huge because we actually had a huge run coming up on the top four there. As we were coming around down the backstretch towards the white flag, but that wasn't meant to be, as they wrecked behind us. But at the same time, you got to look at it as, well, we could have very easily crashed going for the lead as well. So this track has taught me, Joe, you got to take what you can get, and I will run away with this, with a smile. I'm very pumped up. I'm probably about as happy as I've ever been after one of these DWC races, just because finishing up front at a plate track seems like a really huge accomplishment because you have to have everything go right, and that really pleases me that it did. Not only for myself, but Danny Hansen, Michael Conti, Tom Lewandowski. Didn't work out so good for Brad, but it worked out good for pretty much all of us, and that's amazing.
Brian, last season you finished 5th. This season you begin 5th in points. 2 weeks' time, we go to the 1.5 miles in Las Vegas. How do you keep that momentum going? How do you keep that 55 moving forward?
Well, Joe, I mean, it's really hard to say. If I could figure that out, I'd freaking go for the championship, or I would have won one by now. But we're just going to do the best we can. Our team itself, we have 3 drivers, myself, Danny Hansen, Michael Conti. We got Jason Loping on the side helping us. And then, with the drill aisle, we have Tom Lewandowski and Brad Davies. And, we're a lot smaller than a lot of the other teams out there, like Gale Force, for instance, not trying to, bring attention to them. But we're a lot smaller than teams like them. So we're going to do the best we can, and whatever happens, happens. But I will say, I do have some really smart people on this team, and we were really good at Las Vegas last year. So honestly, I have no clue what's going to happen. We could be trash. We could be great. But at this point, the sky's the limit. So you just take what you can get and smile, right?
Brian, I know you've said a lot. You've given a lot of credit to a lot of people out there. Anyone else you want to thank for this big finish out here at Daytona?
Yeah, there's still some more people out there. Let me thank some of my new partners here. We have Main Performance PC on the car as the new primary sponsor this year. Pro Geek Consulting with Matt Salo is our new secondary sponsor, and I have to thank Jeremy Lukaszka and JDR Graphics as well. And also, I gotta say, this also goes out to my grandpa. We lost him on February 13th. He was just 7 days from turning 100 years old, and he absolutely loved racing and everything about it. And he was not only my grandpa, but one of my best friends for 12 or 13 years living with us. So this definitely goes out to him. I had his name on the side of my car today, and it was really great to get him, a nice run. It wasn't a win, but just thanks to him, and thanks to everyone for the kind words over the last couple of weeks. It's really meant a lot to me. And thank you, Joe, and everyone else over here as well on PSRTV. And I can't wait to watch the broadcast. I'm pumped up, man!
A very pumped up Brian Schoenberg getting his season kicked off the right way. The 5th place finish here at Daytona International Speedway. Tony, we've called a lot of great races in our time. You and I have been doing this together now for the better part of 4 years? And this by far has to be the best race we've ever called. Ever.
It ranks up there as one of the more exciting ones, and one of the ones we really didn't know what was going to happen, and certainly kicking off a new era with Peak's involvement with iRacing and NASCAR here at this series, and all the things that they're going to be doing with iRacing.com and all of its members in the near future. And of course, I've got a feeling iRacing will be utilized in some Peak promos, let's say. We talked about the Stock Car Dream Ride contest they have. Have a feeling that maybe an iRacing sim will be part of that competition this year. Just a guess. Educated as it might be, but just a guess, and we'll see how that works out. But all the opportunities they're providing, very, very cool, and I think they're proud to be associated with this series and this type of racing and this type of event. And you hear the enthusiasm. It's like Brian Schoenberg. That's what it's all about. So on behalf of Ian Bushing, Ilka Happela, Chuck Johnson, Matt Thomas, Joe Cortez, Tim Terry, who's traveling back to the Great White North, and everybody at iRacing.com and our new sponsors at Peak Antifreeze, and of course, everybody in the NASCAR group that we work with, Want to let you know that Saturday, March 1st, the first round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series will be on the air live on PSRTV, and we'll be back right here on PSRTV, same time, same channel, same website, if you will, in 2 weeks' time from Las Vegas for round number 2 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Until then, we'll see you at the races. Good night, everybody.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
So you got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
The first thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to keep the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.